Boris Johnson faced with not one, not two, not three, but 4 resignations last night from his closest aides.
Good morning. This is Breakfast with Eamonn and Isabel, and it's 6 a.m. on Friday, the 4th of February. We're live across the whole of the UK on your TV and your radio.
And let's not forget your apps.
Yes, your apps.
People sitting in airports watching us.
Yeah,
There's people sitting in the loo. I don't really know.
And overseas, all over the place.
The what?
Overseas.
Overseas,
yeah.
Yes, very good. Here's what you're waking up to, the news leading us today. A chief of staff, a principal private secretary, a director of communications and a policy chief all decided to jump ship.
Some allies of the Prime Minister say this is all part of the promised changes to the Number 10 operation. We'll be asking what you think.
Meanwhile, the Chancellor appears to put some distance between himself and the PM over the Jimmy Savile comments which were targeted against Keir Starmer.
Being honest, I wouldn't have said it, and I'm glad that the Prime Minister clarified what he meant.
Another resignation, this time in Northern Ireland, as the First Minister stood down, effectively plunging the devolved government at Stormont into turmoil. We'll find out what this means for Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK.
And we're on your doorstep this morning with Ellie Costello. Ellie's in Southend West, where a by-election took place after the death last October of the Conservative MP Sir David Amess. The Tory candidate Anna Firth won 86% of the vote.
Yeah, after the main parties chose not to contest the seat. We're live from there throughout the morning.
And don't forget, you can join in our discussions as always. Email us, gbnews@gbnews.uk.
And the
tweet.
Twitter address, is @gbnews. Of course, the only thing all over Twitter is you. You. It's you. Please don't say anymore, because I just don't know what's going to pop out. It may not be broadcastable.
Look, once bitten, twice shy. I'm scared to speak now.
See if that gives people an insight as to what you're like in real life.
And the funny thing is, people think that you are a saint, Mr. Holmes, but you've just...
It's not me who swore. It's not me.
I didn't actually swear. I stopped short. This much. So close. It's well held, I think. And, I was insulted, so...
Now, look, we're talking about today about tightening your belts and this financial squeeze.
Yeah, it's awful.
Serious stuff. I mean, every front you look at, there is going to be price rises in fuel and on cars, on household goods, on food. Incredible. So, listen, we said, what do you do to save money? And this is what you've been saying.
Well, Naval Eye tweeted saying, once the weather warms up in April, heating bills will plunge anyway, so that's something to look forward to. And he says, I run the washing machine and dishwasher only when it's full. Discipline is how you control costs. The only thing I'd say about that is my washing machine and my dishwasher could easily go a couple of times a day. Yeah. Because you've got a busy house with people cycling and sports and football, and so it doesn't really help me. It's always
I suppose there's other people where the discipline of letting it build up, who may not have a household as busy as yours where it works. Annie, hello Annie, good morning. Turn your heating down even by 1 degree. Wear warmer clothes indoors, take shorter showers. Turn heating off in rooms you don't use and close the doors. Take advice from your energy company. Not sure which.
I thought she said colder showers for a moment there, and I was about to say, let's draw the line at that. That's just too much. I have to have a very hot shower.
Well, my trainer advocates that I take cold showers. No. I have a few. I did during the summer, but it would be.
You do your ice baths as well. I'm a reptile. I can't cope. And that's not to do with my forked tongue. No. I just can't cope with the cold. So cold showers, no thank you.
Not for you.
Michelle says, 15 years ago, I fined my son 50 pence from his pocket money every time he left the lights on in unused rooms. Teach them it's not free from a young age. I think that's a great idea.
I think it's a very good idea. Especially since they're not paying the bills. So let's get back to the news again, and with the time just coming up to 6:05.
Yeah, it's another tough time for Prime Minister Boris Johnson as 4 senior aides resigned within hours of each other last night. Here to tell us more about it all is our political correspondent Tom Harwood, who joins us from Downing Street. I mean, the way this has been covered in the papers this morning, Tom, right across the political spectrums, bloodbath, says The Sun, meltdown, says the Mail, exodus, says the Guardian. Has there ever been a tranche of resignations like this from the inner circle of a Prime Minister before?
Well, it's certainly pretty unusual. However, there are two different ways that you can view these resignations that happened within hours of each other last night. The detractors of Boris Johnson will say this is rats jumping away from a sinking ship, that people are abandoning a failing number 10. On the other hand, people closer to Boris Johnson would say at least 3 of these 4 resignations were very evidently planned. The people like Dan Rosenfield, Jack Doyle, and those people close to the number 10 operation, many of whom, including Martin Reynolds, who had been implicated in the Partygate scandal, looked like they had been on their way out. The question is, was this of number 10's choosing, the timing of this? And that is a bit more of a question. Of course, all of this seemed to be hurried out after the resignation of Munira Mirza, the policy advisor of Boris Johnson, someone who had been by his side for 14 years since he became Mayor of London, since he led City Hall. This is someone who is very close to the Prime Minister, and to some extent that means her resignation is of a different order to the other 3. Those other 3 resignations, if we're being honest with ourselves, would probably have come sooner or later due to the Partygate scandal and them being implicated in that.
OK, so if that wasn't difficult enough for the Prime Minister, interesting the distance Rishi Sunak was putting between himself and his boss yesterday when he was giving a press conference trying to talk about this package that he's unveiled to help with the cost of living, but being asked about the Jimmy Savile comments.
Absolutely, and the Chancellor putting some distance between him and the Prime Minister. Of course, Rishi Sunak did say he was glad that the Prime Minister went on to clarify those comments, saying, of course, that Sir Keir Starmer wasn't personally involved in the prosecution attempts of Sir Keir Starmer, but that Sir Keir Starmer did in 2013 apologise for the failings within the Crown Prosecution Service which he run. So there is a bit of nuance to this take, although that nuance was not enough for Munira Mirza, someone who had asked the Prime Minister to personally apologise for the confusion caused by his earlier comments on Monday. Not just a clarification, but an apology too. The clarification came, the apology didn't, and that wasn't enough for Munira Mirza. But of course, some distance being created between the Prime Minister and the Chancellor. It's interesting to note, actually, how close some of those who have been causing some consternation around this have been to the Chancellor. Of course, Munira Mirza's husband was one of those people who got the Chancellor into politics in the first place, so they may be fairly close political allies on this. I think there's one further thing to say about how Tory allies within the Parliamentary Conservative Party have been taking this. Of course, back at the start of the week, they were promised changes in number 10. One of the things that Boris Johnson promised was greater policy input from Conservative MPs, was changes at the top of his operation, was a change in the way that number 10 was run. Well, we've seen personnel changes today. They just might have come a little bit sooner than Boris Johnson was expecting.
See, Tom, I was all ready to wrap the chat, but then you're so good at your job, you've got me intrigued and I want to know more. So Munira Mirza got Rishi Sunak's job, or her husband did? Explain.
Her husband was close to Rishi Sunak before he became an MP, and that was a close relationship between those two people. Of course, Munira Mirza's husband was indeed an advisor himself in number 10 for some time, working under Dominic Cummings. So there's a lot of interconnected play here, and of course it's very hard to put personal relationships into political allyships, but certainly it's interesting to look at those personal connections there as well.
Interesting. Good
Thanks,
stuff.
Tom.
Yeah, thank you
very much indeed. Another resignation, this time in Northern Ireland, as the First Minister, Paul Givan, stood down, plunging the devolved government at Stormont into turmoil, actually making it non-existent. To find out what this means to everybody in the UK, our Northern Ireland reporter Dougie Beattie brings you this report.
Our institutions are being tested once again, and the delicate balance created by the Belfast and St Andrews agreements has been impacted by the agreement made by the United Kingdom government and the European Union, which created the Northern Ireland Protocol. The consent principle is a cornerstone of the Belfast Agreement, And it is my earnest desire that all sections of the community will soon be able to give consent to the restoration of a fully functioning executive through a resolution to the issues that have regrettably brought us to this point.
The words of a First Minister as he resigns, effectively bringing down the Northern Ireland government. Boris Johnson's oven-ready deal to get Brexit done left Northern Ireland inside the EU while still being part of the UK, but having to obey EU legislation of which it has no democratic input.
I'm not in this to do easy stuff.
No. Right, good answer.
It's true though.
See you later. Yes. See you later, Brian. Yes.
Foreign Secretary Liz Truss visited last week to try and calm the waters and assure all that a deal was possible. Northern Ireland's unionist community have been very angry over the movement of goods and lack of consent, but most of all, they feel their voices are not being heard. The Agriculture Minister, Edwin Poots, took matters into his own hands and stopped the checks on British goods in Northern Irish ports.
Last week I produced a paper for the Executive for consideration concerning the implementation of the protocol. That paper was not tabled for the agenda. Since then I have taken legal advice in relation to my position from Senior Counsel. Earlier today I received that legal advice. It stated that there is presently no executive approval for SPS checks. The implementation of SPS checks requires executive approval, and that a decision to initiate or continue such checks could not be validly taken in the absence of executive approval. The advice concluded that I can direct the checks to cease in the absence of executive approval.
Sinn Féin and the Irish government were furious.
The Executive has a position that they will adhere to the protocol, to the European Withdrawal Agreement, and the principle remains for all executive ministers. You have to adhere to the law. Legal advice can be given on a range of matters, and a range of opinions will be given in regards to legal advice. Courts make the decisions, and Edwin Poots, as a minister, knows that as well as I do.
As a result, these EU checks may now be pushed to the Irish border, a piece of road that has no clear signs of a frontier. The last time Stormont collapsed, it took 3 years to reset, and both the British and Irish governments leading the way. This time, neither are neutral, and the future of Stormont is in real doubt. Dougie Beattie, GB News, Belfast.
So when you say, Dougie, the future of Stormont is in real doubt, you're talking about power sharing, a power sharing existence there. And if that is in doubt, if that is the end of that, what is it, direct rule?
Well, that's where we're now at. I think last night the political parties here were calling for elections. That's not going to happen, because what are they going to elect to? They must, first of all, clear up the problems. And as I mentioned, the negotiators on all this the last time round were the British and Irish governments. Simon Coveney leading the charge on the side of the Irish government. With Sinn Féin now so far ahead in the polls in the Republic, they can't be seen as neutral anymore. So there is no real negotiation to be done here. I think Northern Ireland will be without a government for some time. Last time, as I say, it was 3 years. What's going to fill that gap is quite worrying, I think. And if it does go back to direct rule, well, then it will go back to the Anglo-Irish Agreement, where there was almost a joint authority between London and Dublin. And that brings us back to where we started again, with Sinn Féin ahead in the polls.
So, in the meantime, nobody to run the hospitals, decide budgets, fix the roads, all of that sort of thing. But I want to ask you this. You mentioned in your report there, Dougie, you talked about Boris Johnson and his oven-ready deal and the haste in which he wanted to bring it about. What sort of fallout is he experiencing? What do you think the attitude is towards him and what he created in terms of this protocol from members of the public and indeed from the political community?
Well, I think in Northern Ireland he's lost any respect at all that he had at one time. I think really it was Tony Blair. Yes, he didn't do a great job. He left a lot unsaid, and there was many backdoor deals that were done to get the Good Friday Agreement over the line. But as you and I both lived through it here, it was better than what was there before, and that is for sure. So Boris Johnson, if he goes, his political legacy and it won't be good. Nobody will remember him for anything positive that he has done.
Thank you very much indeed. I should say, Dougie, thanks. We're going to continue this obviously throughout the morning. We're going to hear more from Dougie, and we've got former First Minister Arlene Foster here in the studio just after 7 o'clock for her take on things. Thanks, Dougie.
OK, that's after 7 o'clock at 6:15 now. Let's bring you up to date with the rest of the day's news. And the Conservatives have won the Southend West by-election, which was triggered by the killing of Sir David Amess. Labour and the Liberal Democrats chose not to contest the seat, leaving the way clear for Tory candidate Anna Firth to gain 86% of the vote.
As you've been hearing, 4 of Boris Johnson's closest aides have resigned, plunging his administration into further turmoil. Prime Minister's Chief of Staff, Principal Private Secretary, Director of Communications and Policy Chief all quit within hours of one another.
95% of teachers say they've seen a rise in pupil anxiety since the start of the school year. In a poll by the health charity Place to Be, many also reported high levels of depression among pupils and say the pandemic affected their students' ability to engage in learning.
Prince Harry has admitted experiencing burnout. In an interview for a mental health company, the Duke of Sussex said he's previously felt like he was getting to the very end of everything and had been forced to look inside himself.
8 new stamps have been released by the Royal Mail to mark the Queen's Platinum Jubilee on Sunday. The set features photographs throughout the decades illustrating her dedication to service. They're lovely.
We're going to continue talking about the fuel crisis and the cost of living crisis, and so many of you are having to wear shawls, pyjamas, winter coats around the house because you can't afford to switch the heating on.
Well, this comes amidst the rising cost of living, as some say they are left in disbelief by what their bills could be. Now the price cap rise has been announced and sets in from April.
Our East Midlands reporter Will Hollis with more on this from Nottinghamshire.
Every day, Sandra delivers emergency food parcels across Sutton in Ashfield, where rising costs are driving more people into poverty.
We're seeing when people come to the door with multi-layers of clothing, they can be wearing thick coats, I've seen one wearing gloves, and they're quite anxious about how the situation is going to escalate when the fuel prices go up.
On streets like this, cold homes aren't uncommon. Some choose between heating and eating.
Are you able to put your heating on at the minute?
Lisa is on disability benefits. The mum of 2 has fibromyalgia, a painful condition that means she can't work. She's seen her energy bill spike, affecting everyday decisions.
My young lad, he always says, Mum, can my friend come round to play on the Xbox? And I tend to have to check the electric and say, oh, no, I've only got £5 left. That's got to last us till tomorrow, so your friend can't come round. Or in regards to the heating, if it's absolutely freezing and we've only got a few quid left on the gas, it's a case of just pulling the froze over you and chilling out with the froze, or dressing gown. I tend to live in my dressing gown so I don't get cold.
Yesterday, the energy regulator Ofgem announced a price cap rise of 54%, nearly £2,000 for the average person. Spiralling fuel costs globally are to blame. Chancellor Rishi Sunak has announced measures to try to manage the damage, a £200 energy discount plus a tax rebate for many.
We're going to give people a £150 council tax rebate to help with the cost of energy in April, and this discount won't need to be repaid.
Critics say the support does too little too late. Here in Ashfield, 1 in 3 families are living on universal credit, and so any change in the cost of their living can be quite difficult. And so a lot of people are having to make really tricky decisions about how they spend their money. Back at the food bank, Sandra has another parcel to prepare. The local college set up the service when the pandemic began. Tutors know who it is that needs help. Sometimes they face the same problems themselves.
Electricity plays a big part. I mean, what child doesn't love to sit and watch telly and, I don't know, have all the lights on every time he goes around the house? So it's quite worrying that you've got to be watching those little things that the children do all the time. But you have to be mindful of how much it's going to be costing at the minute.
Winter may soon end, but the cost of living crisis has barely begun. Will Hollis for GB News in the East Midlands.
Thanks, Will. Ryan says, I use a lot of products that are in the reduced or sale section of the shops. I suppose you have the yellow stickers.
Yeah, you can get some good bargains.
Yeah, it is amazing what it saves on the day-to-day budget. Now, I actually wear a shawl. I noticed in our sitting room that there were these throws over the back of the couch, and I think, what are they ever there for? And then I started to use them.
Have a snuggle.
And the thing was, I put it over my shoulders, I don't turn the fire on, and I feel cosier as a result of it.
Yeah, it's great. Well, actually, one of our brand new shiny super producer, Sarah, who's just joined, she was sitting in the newsroom this morning wrapped in a shawl, and I was like, we are kindred spirits. She's listening in her ear. We are kindred spirits because I love a granny shawl.
Yeah, and that's scientifically proven to be of benefit to you because, as I pointed out yesterday, cuddle therapists. Cuddle therapist. I'm going to ask Ruth, can I get one for?
She'll say no, and quite right too. Michael points out though, this
for
whole
a cuddle from.
I'll give you one for free, Eamonn. Give you a nice cuddle.
You're in enough trouble.
Oh, okay. Michael says, I turn off my heating in the bedrooms and just add blankets. Heat is just a feeling at the end of the day.
No, it's not. No, heat is.
But feeling cold as the pits.
Yes,
so you
but
can
then that can
feel
make you
warm
ill.
by...
That can tighten your muscles.
Yeah, it'll make
that
you
can go into
grumpy.
your bones. That can give you a cold.
Can it, though? Is that true? Catch a cold from being cold? I don't know if that's true. Of course you can. Oh, here's the debate of the morning.
That up?
No, I think that's not true.
I think it is true.
Let us know.
Because your nasal hair contracts.
No.
And it's
Dr. Amika is coming in later. He will decide this for us because, honestly, my mum always taught me that. Don't leave the house with your hair wet. Wrap up warm or you catch a cold.
And you don't believe it.
And now I think it's a myth. I think. Someone will tell me if I'm right or wrong. But I think it might be. Oh, back in the bad books.
We will take a break at 22 minutes past 6. When we come back, what are we doing?
We are hearing from a punter, a GB News viewer. She's going to be taking us through her concerns about energy costs and why she's furious with all the energy companies making lots of money.
But first, let's have a look at the weather pictures we head into the weekend. Let's go to Alex Deacon.
Good morning. It's colder out there today, cold enough for some snow and ice in places as well. A cold front has moved across the country through the night, bringing a spell of heavy rain and gusty winds, and it is sweeping away the mild air that's been in place for the past few days, introducing much colder air with a cold feel to it because of the wind, particularly across Scotland. It's not completely cleared away yet. The rain is still across the southeast and East Anglia. A bit of snow in places as well before that scoots away by lunchtime. Sunnier skies follow, but so do the showers. Icy this morning across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland, where we've got plenty of showers that keep going through the day. Snow on the hills, but even to low levels. Sleet and snow likely at times across Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, Northwest England, maybe North Wales. A few wintry showers possible further south. Temperatures struggling, single figures below average. Add on that wind, it feels much closer to freezing. The showers will keep going across the northwest of England, western Scotland through the evening. So again, it could turn icy as temperatures tumble. But then temperatures starting to rise in the north through the night as more cloud and rain moves in. That could bring some snow to parts of Scotland again on Saturday morning. It will be a cold night again with a touch of frost even in towns and cities, certainly in rural areas across the Midlands, East Anglia and the South East to start the weekend. But we should start here with some sunny spells. Generally quite a grey day though on Saturday, a damp day for Scotland. As I said, some snow for a time. Damp and drizzly too for Northern Ireland, Northwest England and much of Wales by the afternoon. Not much rain getting to the south or the east of England. It will be milder, temperatures back up to double figures in places, but it's still going to be windy and the colder air will return to northern Scotland and spread more widely across the north on Sunday. So Sunday sees some damp weather across the south, wintry showers across the north, and again, for all of us, it's going to be pretty blustery.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate.
From all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel.
Right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
Basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamonn
and Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Good to see you again. It's 26 minutes, actually 27 minutes past 6.
It is. One of our top stories this morning, of course, we're talking about what Chancellor Rishi Sunak said yesterday on the cost of living and rising energy bills. He held a press conference in Downing Street. Well, we're joined now by one of our viewers. Her name is Lynette Marsden. She is an electrical engineer and she is calling us from Northampton this morning. Very good morning to you, Lynette. Listen, you're really angry with the way your bills have been managed by your supplier. Tell us your story.
Yes, hello, good morning.
We lost Lynette. Lynette.
Just when it was getting interesting, is Lynette there? Yeah, we're joining Lynette again live via satellite over the Atlantic Ocean, whatever it is, and we're forming the...
There she is. I'm so sorry, Lynette,
Fantastic.
keeping us on the edge of our seat. So tell us your story.
So I've been hit by the energy supplier I've been with going bust twice in the past 2 years. The last time happened 2 weeks ago when Together Energy went bust. I've been put onto a variable tariff with British Gas, which I had a price for, which was a 38% increase in what I was paying. I don't know now today whether that's going to increase by a further 54%. I switch energy suppliers. I switch everything regularly. I'm a very savvy user. I never stay with anyone long. I did some comparison in the marketplace. The cheapest price I could get was a 153% increase on what I had been paying. And to be honest, going through this twice now, I'm absolutely sick of it. All the competition has been taken out of the marketplace, so we're just going to end up with the big 6 energy companies again. When you hear yesterday you were reporting of Shell making £12 billion profit in the last quarter of last year. Scottish Power, I know, were fined £18 million in 2016 for poor customer service. It's just disgusting that these companies are allowed to charge users extraordinate amount for the energy and make huge profits, get fined for performing poorly. And I'm calling, and I've emailed the Energy Secretary about this, that the whole system needs reform and I want an investigation into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very well put, Lynette. And, you know, the irony, Scottish Power, British Gas, there's nothing Scottish or British about them, is there?
No, Scottish Power are owned by a company in Spain. as I say, none of the profit that they make stays in this country. It's all outside the country and with shareholders that are no doubt outside of the country, and they're not investing massively in our system, in the green and renewables. If we had proper energy schemes in place for green energy, we wouldn't be in this gas crisis that we're in now.
Here's something, Lynette, I want to put to you, right? We all want to be green. We all want to save the planet. But I'm looking at where our energy comes from. Coal from Venezuela, oil from Nigeria or Saudi Arabia, gas from Qatar, electricity from Belgium or the Netherlands, gas from Russia, coal from Russia, oil from Russia, gas from Norway. And the irony, we pay billions to bring all this into the country. And we're so green, we don't exploit our own gas and oil reserves and coal reserves, and we don't frack and we don't do all these things because it's not good, but we'll take it from everybody else in the world. The hypocrisy is unbelievable.
Not in my backyard, hey?
Yeah. It is incredible. And tell me this, you say you work as an electrical engineer. Are you on a fixed sort of income, or would you be fortunate enough to be able to work harder and earn more? You know, a lot of people are not in that position. I'm just trying to gauge, you know, can you make any indent into your rising costs?
No, I'm on a fixed income. Obviously, with marketplaces in the globe, I don't know whether we will see any kind of wage rises this year. We were lucky and we did get one last year, but obviously with coronavirus, we didn't get one the year previous to that. So, yeah, if I'm going to be facing a 153% increase possibly in my energy costs, with all of the other increases that are going on, luxuries are going to have to be cut. I recently just booked a holiday because we hadn't been away in 3 years, thinking about cancelling that now as well, because I just don't know what situation we're going to be in 6 months' time.
Do you know, Lynette, I'm looking at you. I can hear the pain in your voice. We can see the pain on your face, and it is a real concern. And we all sit and wonder and say, how did we get into this situation? I mean, whoever thought it was a good idea that Russia has the hand on the on-off tap for the rest of Europe as regards gas and whatever? The way we run these utility companies, the way we allow them to make indecent profit that you have talked about there, do you really think that ministers, that the government in general get this?
No, I don't think most of the ministers are actually down to earth, understand what it's like to live on average incomes and things like that, when they're all getting backhanders and extra money from all of the other dodgy deals and things, let's say, that no doubt they're doing. I mean, just in our local town, I know of our council have had dodgy dealings and money's gone missing and things like that. Together Energy, who I was previously with, they were part owned by a local council, which all sounds a little bit dodgy. I'm sure there's lots of under the table deals that go on around this. And I'm sure that also a lot of the big energy companies, they don't want us to be as green because then they won't be making as much profit. I mean, if we had schemes like more insulation, every single new house built had solar panels on it, would we really be in the situation that we're in now?
Yeah, it is a fair point. And, you know, you talk about how this is going to affect you because you're on a fixed income and having that pay rise before. We also had yesterday the Bank of England governor urging workers not to ask for a pay rise because it will have an impact on inflation. Well, that's all very well. But when you've got these huge bills coming in, you say you're talking about possibly cancelling a holiday. But what are the kind of choices that you're going to be faced with your bills, as you say, already going up 153%? That's the best deal you could find. What does this mean for you?
It means cutting back on all of the luxuries. I mean, I already shop at the lower end supermarkets, the Aldi and things like that. Brilliant quality, but they're definitely the cheapest supermarket. I do a lot of bulk buying of food and goods as well. There's a brilliant company who do stuff that's just out of date where you can bulk buy food at very, very cheap costs. So I'm already a very savvy shopper. I will definitely be looking around more for deals. And yeah, cutting luxuries, no dinners out, no trips to the cinema, things like that, until I know, as I say, what situation I'm in. Because at the minute, I don't have a clue what my energy costs going to go up by. But I have to fear for the world.
But if you get in trouble, Rishi Sunak's going to give you 200 quid. He's not going to give you 200 quid. He's going to loan you 200 quid, and then you pay all that back. Surely you're going to be saved by that.
That's just a joke. 200 quid and the £150 council tax rebate, because I live in a A-band house, so I will get that. But 150 quid, that's nothing. That's not even going to cover 1 month's bill that it's going to go up by. It's just laughable, really.
You know, funny, that was my reaction yesterday. I think the patronising way that people say, and for hard-working families, we're going to reduce their bills. Well, they're not. They're going to loan you 200 quid in a complex way that you've got to apply for. But it's so patronising, isn't it? When you look at
£200, it really isn't going to. I mean, we live in
a year
small,
for 4 years. It's Anyway,
we live in a small 2-bedroom flat, so we're not massive energy users. But if you're a family living in a big house, that won't even touch 1 month's.
Yeah. Lynette, look, listen, it's great. You are a GB viewer. We try and give our viewers a voice. You've so eloquently and passionately and realistically spoken, I think, for so many people as to what they're going through. And you're just trying to do the right thing. You're out there, you're working, you're grafting, you're trying to bring up a family, and it just must seem futile with what you're facing. Lynette, thank you. We've got to leave it there. Lynette Marsden, a GB viewer. She is an electrical engineer, and she's speaking to us from her home in Northampton. Thank you very much, and good luck.
Thank you.
Lots of tips keep coming in on how to save energy. Actually, this one saying, my mother always told me not to leave the house after a shower. One will catch a cold, and I listened to my mother's advice. This one said, find a way to budget by recording everything on a spreadsheet and stick to it. You can see where you can make reductions. And the obvious one, Annie says, turn your heating down by 1 degree and wear warmer clothes indoors. There you go.
OK, we're going to take a break there, and we're going to be having the newspapers and what's going on there, and we're going to be doing that in the company of Liz Kershaw and Oscar Reddrop. Very entertaining, very insightful. Don't go away.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamonn
and Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Welcome back. It's time to go through the papers. This morning we are joined by the broadcaster Liz Kershaw and the former Conservative Red Wall advisor Oscar Redrop. Thank you both very much for the early alarm call. Let's start then, shall we, with many of the front pages covering the story. The Sun calling it a bloodbath, The Guardian calling it a mass exodus, but you've chosen the Mail calling it a meltdown in number 10. What do you make of it all?
Well, I've picked that headline specifically because I'm relatively critical of it. I find that the conversation we're having about what's happened at number 10 quite odd. We all know that it was only a matter of days ago the Prime Minister went to the 1922 committee, which is, basically almost a secret society, if you like, of MPs that he is absolutely on the ropes with at the moment, and as a result, highly accountable to. And he told them, he said, look, there are going to be real root and branch changes to the mechanics at number 10, and that's exactly what happened yesterday.
No, it's not what happened. He didn't change them, they changed him.
Well, I'm really not convinced about that in the slightest.
What, you think he was going to boot out Munira Mirza, his absolute key ally that he's been with since day dot?
That was the one that he didn't get ahead of, admittedly. And the management of it...
three of them, he didn't change all four of them.
Well, the management of it has been pretty chaotic. I will absolutely hold my hands up to that, Eamonn, 100%. But, and again, this might be maybe an unpopular opinion, but, her job as, head of policy, I mean, I know for a fact that there are quite a large group of MPs who aren't particularly impressed with government policy at the moment. What's really key here, because it was chaotic yesterday, even though we knew this was coming, the root and branch change at number 10 were coming, it was managed very chaotically. The appointments in the next few days, they have to be spot on.
But Oscar, you know the word chaos defines Boris Johnson.
At the moment, it does. And that's why, when we talk about other stories later today about the cost of living, it feels like the government kind of domestic agenda just can't get a handle on things. So this is, I think, probably, and I've been quite a defender of Boris on this show over the last few weeks, but I think the next few days, in terms of how he brings number 10, realigns it, creates this whole new direction over the next few days, is the most integral to him hanging on that we've had thus far.
What do you make of it, Liz? Because, a lot of this is kind of people that a lot of our viewers and punters perhaps won't be familiar with these characters. But what was interesting yesterday was one of those who are front and centre, fully on the payroll members of his cabinet, Rishi Sunak, for the first time, putting a little bit of distance between him and the PM. Do you think that's indicative of a change in mood?
Well, we were going to come on to Rishi Sunak's performance yesterday later, but OK, you brought the topic up. I mean, his naked ambition just absolutely broke through yesterday. He's not even hardly attempting to disguise the fact that he sees himself as the next Prime Minister. And I think it's quite unsavoury, and it's not going to do him any good because the British electorate are daft.
Well,
I mean, we remember when
would
Tony
you go
Blair...
as far? There's the headline in The Sun, ouch. So they're basically saying it's backstabbing.
Yeah, I do. And nobody likes it. Do you remember when Tony Blair had won 3 elections for the Labour Party, and there was this supposed pact between him and Gordon Brown that at some point Gordon Brown would get his turn to be Prime Minister. And so Tony Blair was shunted out, Gordon was crowned. Next, a couple of years later, we had a general election, and he was out because he had no authority, had no mandate from the British people. But mainly on a personal level, they just don't like to see that kind of thing. And that's what we're seeing now. Seeping through, it's been building up. Rishi Sunak with his casual, spontaneous photo shoots in nice parts of London, in sports casuals, a la Alan Partridge. I'm sorry, it's all very orchestrated, and it's actually quite transparent and risible. So I'm sorry, no, I don't buy it.
I think Liz is not a fan.
But I mean, it was quite clearly carefully chosen, his words, but I think he was quite careful not to fully twist the knife. I mean, he might have gone so far as, in all honesty, he said, I might not have said those words, but I'm very pleased the Prime Minister clarified what he meant.
Well, it's a game of chicken, because making your move, as quite rightly hinted at there, making your move first as, the apparent heir to a Prime Minister who, understandably is very much on the ropes now, is such a risky business because you automatically have a target on your back. Rishi is, I think, the bookies' favourite, so that target is very much already there. I have to say, though, he will be judged on what I think, and I'm so sometimes sick and tired of talking about the mechanics of number 10, because normal people, and again, I hate that phrase. When I say that, I mean people who, hats off to them, don't really care about politics. They just care about the things affecting their life, is absolutely dominating, and he will be judged in the coming weeks. And I think could derail any bid he may have to be Prime Minister on the cost of living crisis.
Who will be judged, Sunak or Johnson?
Sunak,
right. So you've also gone front page of the Metro here as well. And they're talking about a perfect storm, so many things converging at once. So what's your analysis? You think this cost of living crisis could be very detrimental to him? He's got to play this one right.
Absolutely, but I'm aware of my role is to always talk about the politics, but I don't want to on this. Like, I woke up feeling very, very sad when you see these front pages. We knew this kind of tsunami was approaching. It's now on the front doorsteps of regular people, and like the pandemic has given us quite short-term memories, like all corners of people's lives where they are faced now with this great cost that will absolutely hamper how they want to live their daily lives. These are people who were supermarket workers, NHS staff, and I think the government, admittedly the economy has taken real shocks that the government could do very little about. But I still think the tail spinning and the two back and forth about politics constantly has meant we have taken our eye off the ball on this, and normal people are being punished, and it makes me very upset, actually.
It's very dangerous.
We can hear from you banging the table.
sorry.
That's the idea.
It's very dangerous. A very dangerous game to play. Rishi Sunak was seen, it's like good cop, bad cop. So Boris is like, stay home, you must stay at home, wash your hands, don't see your boyfriend. And then, on the other hand, Rishi's going, here's some money. And so it's his money, and he's taking all the credit for that. He's now saying, OK, we're in a big financial mess, but here I am with my underpants over my trousers, handing out more money, council tax reduction, warmer home credits or whatever. Yes, OK, take ownership of it, but then you've also got ownership of it when it doesn't actually work and people become less impressed by it and disillusioned by it. So it is a dangerous game to play.
The one thing I would say in his defence, which is probably a private frustration he may have, is a lot of the people who are pretty critical of the measures that the government have put in place to kind of soften the blow here. I do wonder sometimes, were they the people that wanted the furlough to be more generous? They wanted the furlough to be extended probably beyond what was realistic. I'm not sure you can have that argument both ways.
And I think it is interesting always when we look at, loads of people, as you say, critical of the decision to lock down, the way we compensated people with furlough. But lots of people did similar things in other countries, and we're seeing rapid inflation in the States, we're seeing it in Spain as well. The government's there also with the same sort of challenges as we have.
What about the challenge of the government in Northern Ireland, Liz? Front page of the Telegraph today. The First Minister resigning yesterday evening.
Well, this is massive. It's quite easy to say, oh, well, that's a Northern Ireland problem. Yeah. But it's not. It's a Northern Ireland problem. It's a United Kingdom problem. It's a Great Britain problem. It's a Republic of Ireland problem. Yeah. It's a European problem. It involves the Americans because they're so protective of the Good Friday Agreement. What I wanted to illustrate, though, how stupid the news agenda is. They're all obsessing on the front pages about 4 people walking out of Downing Street, and I agree with what you said about that. It's been spun as another Boris failure. But this is the front page of the Telegraph, right? All this, and this
is Northern Ireland.
4 square inches is Northern Ireland.
I faced it in here. The people who opposed the story yesterday will remain nameless, but I said the significance of the story here, and people take convincing for all the reasons that you have there. But the repercussions of this are massive. And not only for government in Northern Ireland, which everybody forgets about, because we haven't got a government, we haven't got people who are going to run the hospitals and fix the roads and do all these things, but also as regards the Brexit agreement and cocking 2 fingers up to Brussels.
Yeah, exactly. I've got a solution, though.
Which is?
Right, OK. So we've got a border in the Irish Sea at the moment because nobody wants a border on the island of Ireland.
Yes.
So what you do then is you have a free trade area all across Ireland, and then if Ireland wants to export stuff to Europe, there have to be import controls at Rotterdam or at Cherbourg or wherever it lands up.
Ireland won't be happy with that.
Yeah, basically, that's exactly right. You can't sort of tell a state like Ireland, you're going to play subservient to the UK. No. That'll go down like a bag of six.
No, you just say, Ireland, where's your bread buttered? Most of your trade is with the United Kingdom.
Well, that's very true. I mean, like 2/3 of trade or whatever.
I went to I was in The Hague, and I went to I've got loads of friends there, and there's the Irish Club, and we were all invited to a party at the Irish Embassy. Yeah. And the Taoiseach turned up to give us a talk. I'd had a couple of wines, later in the evening. I went, this is before the referendum. I went, don't worry about it. After he'd made a speech, don't worry about it. It's going to all be all right. And it's like, who the hell's this woman? Security. And I told him a few of my ideas then.
Oh, good for you, Liz. Good for
you. So there you go. Liz Kershaw and Oscar Reddrop. They're going to be back in an hour's time. More stories from the paper. But right now, it's time for On Your Doorstep.
Very real pleasure of Ellie Costello taking us around Southend-on-Sea this morning, and you've been out and about on doorsteps for us. Good morning to you, Ellie. Oh, we can't hear her. Now I was just beginning to hear her then, and we cut away. So should we try again?
It's on the wrong leg, whatever that means. I don't know if Ellie's on the wrong leg. Sound is on the wrong leg.
She's legless. Who knows? Who knows what's happening?
Or someone has just pressed the mute button. So can we not try it again? Definitely not. Because...
OK, we're going to talk about the Winter Olympics because, of course, it's the opening ceremony today. They're kicking off in Beijing, in China. Athletes around the world descending on the Chinese capital. But there have been protests here in the UK over the Games. Many countries, of course, critical of China's human rights abuses and have been calling for a boycott of the Winter Olympics.
Well, our London reporter Alice Porter went to one of these protests last night.
Well, they may be known as Beijing 2022, but for the protesters here, the Olympics are known as the Genocide Games, and that's what so many of them are shouting, as you can probably hear behind me. There have been Uyghurs, Tibetans, Hong Kongers that have all gathered here and accusing China of human rights violations and want a boycott of the Games. I was speaking to some of them earlier, and they told me why they are here protesting against the Chinese government and their involvement with the Winter Olympics.
I would say the boycotting the Beijing Olympics is a symbolic move to try to signal that the world is watching. The world is watching upon the genocide in Xinjiang, the total genocide in Tibet, and all kinds of human rights oppression happening in Hong Kong.
I'm here today to boycott the Winter Games, the Olympic Winter Games in Beijing, and I'm part of Tigray Youth Network, which is a diaspora initiative in the UK campaigning for an end to the genocidal war on Tigray, which is the northernmost region in Ethiopia. We're here boycotting the Olympics because of China's involvement in the genocidal war, particularly arming the federal government of Ethiopia to continue.
My mum, who's here with me, her cousin and other members of her family were killed in the Holocaust. The similarities are so obvious for everyone to see. But unfortunately, people are choosing to ignore it for the basis of trade and financial incentives. It's very, very easy to turn your back. If more people didn't turn their back on my family, many of them would still be here today. So I urge everyone to look into this, to understand what's going on, and to boycott the Beijing Olympics.
That was some of the protesters speaking to me earlier about the Winter Olympics. Now, the British government, along with Canada and the US, have decided to do a diplomatic boycott of the Games. And that means they'll still be sending athletes to the Games, but they will not be sending any officials or ministers. And that's partly because last year the British government voted on the situation in China, particularly in regard to the Uyghurs. There's about 1 million of them, of the Muslim minority in China, that are currently in internment camps at the moment. And there's also accusations of forced sterilisation and torture. And therefore, the British government had a vote last year and declared the situation in China genocide, along with a number of other countries as well. So that's one of the reasons why there's been this diplomatic boycott. But for many of the groups that are gathered here today, whether they're Uyghurs or from Hong Kong. They're frustrated that the Games are taking place at all and are angry at the International Olympic Committee and saying that by having the Games there, you are legitimising a regime that is involved with human rights abuses. Now, China says that there is no genocide taking place at all and is very angry of the condemnation that they've received from the international community. So it'll be interesting to see what we will see over the next couple of weeks in regards to the Games, as there are many people who are very frustrated and angry that they have been allowed to take place in China.
Alice, thank you very much indeed. So that all gets underway officially from today, although the curling's been going on for 2 days.
We've already had some success in the curling, yeah, so it could be a good Games.
We have already have. You just love it, don't you?
Well, it's GB News. GB News, Team GB, all the way.
You're such a curling fan.
I am now.
Yes, yeah. That's what happens. Everybody just loves the curling.
Yeah, I get into tennis when it's Wimbledon. That's about it. Anyway, look, lots of ideas coming through on how to...
Stop saying anyway.
Well, I was saying in my ear.
Just tell them to go away. Or just you say what you said to me yesterday. Just do that.
Stop talking about it. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Is there black, what are they called? What is it called? Black market copies of Isabel on the internet somewhere, are there? Hope there are. I mean, I distance myself from all association with it. Cost-saving tips. Roger says there's an easy solution. Get rid of the TV licence. And that'll be £150 towards your energy bill.
Sally says, my family try and cook food in advance. We bulk buy and make a big meal that lasts at least 3 days. Chili, curry, casserole, they're all great options. I love that because it's not only money saving, it's time saving.
And it's good for your health, isn't it?
And it's good, healthy, home-cooked food. Love that, Sally. Thank you.
Now, as regards the Governor of the Bank of England saying, oh, no, don't ask for a pay rise. Can't have that. I remember for about 8 years, used to go and ask for a pay rise and it would be, not in the current climate. That used to be the stock phrase within TV. Well, obviously we can't in the current climate. You know, it's about 15 years, the current
now
climate.
It's everyone's at startup. Sorry, we're in a startup.
So are you brave enough to ask for a price hike? Everybody's being squeezed, but there you go. David says, make sure you have that negotiation once a year. There you go.
And lots of people laughing at you stitching me up by mentioning my blunder yesterday as well. So
I'm not stitching you up. This is fact. It's fact. What can we say? You have to live with the stain of that on your soul.
It was absolutely hilarious. It wasn't intentional. It makes us laugh in these stressful times. Surely no bad thing. There you go. I'm doing it for the people.
The thing that gets me is, you know, you're so posh and middle class and so well educated and whatever. And sometimes it's those people, those very people, that have the pottiest mouths. Those very people. That's the thing.
I've got no defence. I've got no defence.
You know, you should just be like me. It's never a curse word crosses my lips. That's the whole thing. In the next hour, we will be back to looking at what money-saving tips that could reduce your energy bills, all from you. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, first, here's your forecast.
Don't swear.
Good morning. It's colder out there today, cold enough for some snow and ice in places as well. A cold front has moved across the country through the night, bringing a spell of heavy rain and gusty winds, and it is sweeping away the mild air that's been in place for the past few days, introducing much colder air with a cold feel to it because of the wind, particularly across Scotland. It's not completely cleared away yet. The rain is still across the southeast and East Anglia. A bit of snow in places as well before that scoots away by lunchtime. Sunnier skies follow, but so do the showers. Icy this morning across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland, where we've got plenty of showers that keep going through the day. Snow on the hills, but even to low levels. Sleet and snow likely at times across Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, Northwest England, maybe North Wales. A few wintry showers possible further south. Temperatures struggling, single figures below average. Add on that wind, it feels much closer to freezing. The showers will keep going across the northwest of England, Western Scotland through the evening. So again, it could turn icy as temperatures tumble, but then temperatures starting to rise in the north through the night as more cloud and rain moves in. That could bring some snow to parts of Scotland again on Saturday morning. It will be a cold night again with a touch of frost even in towns and cities, certainly in rural areas across the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast to start the weekend. But we should start here with some sunny spells. Generally quite a grey day though on Saturday, a damp day for Scotland. As I said, some snow for a time. Damp and drizzly too for Northern Ireland, Northwest England and much of Wales by the afternoon. Not much rain getting to the south or the east of England. It will be milder, temperatures back up to double figures in places, but it's still going to be windy. And the colder air will return to northern Scotland and spread more widely across the north on Sunday. So Sunday sees some damp weather across the south, wintry showers across the north, and again, for all of us, it's going to be pretty blustery.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamonn
and Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Boris Johnson faced with 4 resignations last night from his inner circle.
Good morning. This is Breakfast with Eamonn and Isabel at 7 a.m. on Friday the 4th of February. We're live across the whole of the UK on both your TV, your radio and on your apps. Here's what you're waking up to this morning.
Our top story, a chief of staff, a principal private secretary, a director of communications and a policy chief all decided to jump ship. But some allies of the Prime Minister say this was all part of a promised change to the Number 10 operation.
Meanwhile, the Chancellor appears to have put some distance between him and the PM over the Jimmy Savile comments which were made in the House and targeted against Keir Starmer.
Being honest, I wouldn't have said it, and I'm glad that the Prime Minister clarified what he meant.
Another resignation, this time in Northern Ireland, as the First Minister, Paul Givan, stood down, effectively plunging the devolved government at Stormont into turmoil.
If you're watching us just before 7, you will have seen that we tried and failed to set up a communication link with our reporter Eddie Costello, who is in Southend-on-Sea and on your doorstep.
OK, so let's see if we can talk to Ellie now. Very good morning to you, Ellie. Look, you're in Southend-on-Sea for a very poignant reason this morning. Just bring us up to date on how that by-election ended up yesterday.
Yes, good morning, Eamonn and Isabel from lovely Lee-on-Sea in Essex. You can see just behind me about 300 metres, the sun is just coming up on the seafront down there. And this is a lovely seaside town. It is the place to come for your seafood in Essex. Loads of bars and restaurants. It's a really busy place for affluent families and also for commuters. It's only about 45 minutes from London here, so it's a really popular place for families to come and settle from London. So we're here here because it's fantastic, but we're also here because yesterday there was a by-election in Southend West, which is what Leigh-on-Sea is a part of, and it was to fill that vacant seat that was left empty by the passing of Sir David Amess, who was stabbed to death in October of last year whilst he held a constituency surgery. Now, the main parties all stepped aside for that by-election. Labour, the Lib Dems, the Greens. They wanted the Conservatives to have this seat like they have since 1950 in the conception of this seat, and that's exactly what happened. Anna Firth is the new Conservative MP for Southend West. She won that with 12,000 votes, but the turnout was low. Just 24% of people turned out to vote. So we're going to be talking to people today about that by-election and also about issues that matter to them. So let's go into this house here with this lovely red door. This is number 15. And hopefully there's no one asleep. Hello, you are live on TV and radio. Do you want to introduce yourself to everyone watching and listening at home?
I'm Lauren, and you're going to meet the rest of my family in a second.
Oh, very exciting. Let's go in.
Be careful.
Oh, the house is lovely and warm.
Thank you.
You've got a lovely house. Look at all of this. Look at all these paintings. Amazing. You're into your art, obviously.
Oh, we are.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you very much.
I'm surprised the dogs aren't barking.
Hello, doggies. Hi. And what? These are lovely dogs. What are your dogs called?
That's Marley and Milo's the Ginge.
Marley and Milo. Great names. Hi, doggies. Hello.
Oh, no.
They want to say hello. That's okay. That's okay. Hi, doggies. We're excited to see you too. And you're Robert.
Yes, I'm Robert.
So Robert and Lauren we are joined with today. And how long have the two of you lived on Leigh-on-Sea?
About 3 years now. It is. I think 2000. Yeah. So.
And what do you love about Leigh? What makes you want to be here and settle here?
The community's lovely, loads of creatives, loads of good food, really good food. Just a beautiful community. It's small, and I feel like you can talk to anyone when you walk along.
Yeah, everyone's really friendly here. It seems like a really tight community here. So I've moved. Oh look, hi Albie.
Oh my God, we're meeting the whole family. This is Albie. Hi Albie. Have I just woken you up by knocking on the door? You're on telly. You are Albie. Do you want to say hello?
Hi.
You're Albie. So Leigh-on-Sea is a fantastic place to be. As you just said, really friendly people. Yeah. I do think Essex people, I am biased, but I do think we are a friendly bunch.
Yeah.
But obviously, we're here today talking about the by-election that happened yesterday. It must have been so shocking in October last year when Sir David Amess was stabbed just so close to here.
Yeah.
It was right round the corner from his school. Obviously, he knows because he would have heard stuff at school. I was getting a cab to pick him up. It was a cab driver that told me. It's like we say, it's a small, close community. Yeah. Everyone was so shocked. It doesn't matter if you agreed with a lot of his policies. It's shocking, full stop. It's, horrible, really horrible.
And, Robert, did you vote in the by-election yesterday?
We didn't. I didn't. My wife didn't. It's just because the main contenders wasn't in it, so maybe it was wrong. But I don't think many people did vote because we was driving past the polling stations and they seemed empty. So I don't know what percentage of people did vote, but I don't think it was very many.
Yeah, turnout was just 24%, so it was really very low. But like you said, all of the main opposition parties, Labour, the Greens, Lib Dem, they actually made way for the Conservatives. They wanted them to have this seat. Many people saying that was the right thing to do, respectful thing to do. Is that something that you'd agree with?
Definitely.
Yeah. So another big story that we're talking about today is the rising cost of living, the rising cost of energy in particular. On average, £700 for families. Is that something that you are worried about?
Well, I think it's worrying for everyone. It's been a tough couple of years for everyone with work, with money. Sorry, Marley. I think everyone's going to feel the pinch. And as much as I think you say Rishi Sunak is going to start helping people, I think it's fine in the interim, but everyone's still got to pay that back. So I think later down the line, everyone's still going to feel the pinch and struggle.
I've got to say, our bills already, we obviously have gas, electric,
You've got a
cooker
lovely
and
big
everything.
oven over here.
That's really old, that is. We bought that from our old house. As our bills are 200, there's 3 of us and the dogs, that's a lot. And I didn't work for a long time throughout lockdown. we're finding our feet again, and I just think, you know, if it's going to go up again, we're going
it's going to be tough for many people.
struggle. Yeah, a lot of people. If we're going to struggle, you know, everyone else tenfold.
I think you're completely right. I think it's going to be a really, really difficult winter for lots and lots of families. Well, thank you so much for having us in your home, Robert and Lauren, and to your son as well. We woke him up, I think, with our door knocking, but thank you very much for having us. And Eamonn and Isabel, stay with us, because in the next hour, I'm going to be visiting a mum who moved out from London to the seaside during the pandemic. I'm going to be asking her why she did that.
Very good, very good. A nice coat, Ellie. Very nice.
Oh, thanks, it's new.
Oh, well, that's good. I'm glad. I think it's very nice.
It's gorgeous. Well, Ellie's always very well dressed.
Ever look at Ellie and think,
Thank you.
why don't you dress like that?
Oh,
do you not think that?
That's so mean. This is why I
really
swear
trying to
sometimes.
help you. I'm just trying to help you. I'm saying, you know,
Ellie,
look
back
at
me
Ellie.
up. I'm all right, aren't I?
Oh.
Isabel's always glam. I learn a lot from Isabel.
Sartorial elegance. Did you learn to swear from Isabel?
I sometimes...
She never swears. What are you talking about?
Oh, let's not go there. Let's not go there. Ellie, we'll see you shortly. Say goodbye to Marley and Milo, those lovely doggies as well, and we'll see you in a bit.
Lovely
We
house.
will,
Thank
the
you.
lovely doggies.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Right, so another tough time, another tough day for the Prime
I
Minister.
thought you were say for me. Yeah, I'm
Well,
sorry. Yeah, no, for the
People
Prime
must
Minister.
feel so sorry for you.
They do.
So sorry for you. Ruth's got a whole new lease of life, you know.
She started messaging me with support.
Good luck, she's saying. Yesterday, 4 senior aides resigned within hours of each other.
Yeah, here to tell us more is our political correspondent, Tom Harwood. He's at the scene of the crime in Downing Street. Look, it's interesting seeing all the political spectrums, even the Daily Mail, usually supportive of the Prime Minister, covering this morning, describing it as a meltdown, a bloodbath. What do you make of it all?
Yeah, 4 resignations and a press conference. It sounds a bit more like a Richard Curtis film than real life, but it's what we lived through yesterday afternoon and evening. Some very senior people at the core of the political operation of Number 10 now out the door. It all started off with Munira Mirza resigning over what she said was the Prime Minister's refusal to apologise for the impression his comments about Keir Starmer and Jimmy Savile gave at the start of the week. Of course, the Prime Minister tried to clarify those comments, but it was the lack of apology that tipped Munira over the edge. I have to say, I think that there were probably some other political issues there. This was probably the straw that broke the camel's back rather than the actual point of resignation, because there's been a lot about this Number 10 operation that has been worrying people. There's been a political drift of this government that many on the right of the party have not agreed with. But also the Prime Minister at the start of this week promised his MPs that they would have more input, particularly in policy formation. And of course, Munira Mirza was the head of policy at Number 10. So a lot of structural change that was promised already from this Prime Minister at the start of the week. And that structural change began yesterday. Of course, 3 further aides out the door, not least of all Martin Reynolds, the person behind that famous bring your own booze email. It seems like there were some heads that were going to roll anyway, who may well have been rushed out the door a little bit sooner last night than was being intended.
And of course, as you talked about the press conference there, and I just want to ask you about whether or not that was the sign of a bit of a schism between the Chancellor and the Prime Minister, or whether or not that could be perhaps an insight in what some of the members of the Cabinet are thinking. What did you make of that?
Certainly the Chancellor trying to put some blue water between himself and the Prime Minister. Many people thought that the Jimmy Savile comment at the start of the week from the Prime Minister was misjudged, even though the clarification that Boris Johnson gave yesterday was, of course, the facts of the matter rather than the impression that some took from it. Of course, Keir Starmer did apologise for failings within the Crown Prosecution Service when he was Director of Public Prosecutions. There was a review commission that found that there were failings in the failure to prosecute Jimmy Savile back in the late 2000s. Keir Starmer apologised for that in 2013, but of course he was not personally involved in that decision. He apologised on behalf of his organisation, and that was the clarification that Boris Johnson gave yesterday. However, he didn't apologise for the impression that some took from the original comment, and that's what some people felt was wrong about that clarification yesterday. Of course, Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, putting some clear water between himself and the Prime Minister, saying that he wouldn't have made those comments in the first place, but also saying that he was glad that the Prime Minister clarified what he meant.
Carefully chosen words from the Chancellor there. Tom, thank you very much.
We stay on the subject of resignations, this time in Northern Ireland, as the First Minister, Paul Givan, stood down yesterday, plunging the devolved government at Stormont into turmoil. Our man there is Dougie Beattie. And Dougie, what is the current state of affairs in Stormont as we wake up on this Friday morning?
Well, it is one heck of a political hangover. Paul Givan resigned yesterday as First Minister, and the shocks of that will take a little while to be felt, but they'll be felt the whole way across Ireland, the UK as a whole, and right into Europe. Europe and Britain played fast and loose with the Good Friday Agreement, and it has cost them dear. Given's resignation has basically left us with a ghost government in place here. Legislation going through the House of Parliament on Monday will allow it to stay here basically as a caretaker for a while or two before elections. But the political parties in Northern Ireland last night didn't come out to very late on, and they were calling for elections to happen straight away. It shows a little bit of political immaturity, because what are they getting elected to? Liz Truss was here this day last week trying to assure unionists that consent would be brought back in, and she would bring down these checks, or at least have them looked at, these checks that the EU are insisting on goods coming into Northern Ireland from other parts of the UK. That didn't happen quick enough for the DUP. They've been asking for that quite a while, and yesterday the patience ran out, and Paul Givan effectively paralysed the Assembly behind us. Now that leaves the rest of them, including Sinn Féin, wondering what will happen next. Sinn Féin, the largest party in nationalism, but it also is the largest party in the Republic of Ireland. It has political capital there at the moment, and we don't know, will they cash that in?
OK, Dougie, thank you very much. We'll be back with you a little bit later on in the programme.
The woman who used to be the boss there, the First Minister of Northern Ireland, joins us now in the studio, and she's Arlene Foster. Arlene Foster, good morning to you.
Good morning, Eamonn.
Would what happened yesterday have happened on your watch?
Well, of course, things have moved on since then. I left the job in June of last year. Sir Geoffrey came in as party leader in July, and right at the very beginning, he said that it was either a choice between the protocol or the devolved administration at Stormont. He's been warning about this for quite some considerable time, made a major September last year, again saying that the protocol had to be dealt with. If it wasn't dealt with, he would take action, and he's taken that action now.
But what benefit is there from that action?
Well, I think what he wants to say to both the government and the European Union, I've given you time to deal with these issues. The protocol is hurting the economy of Northern Ireland. Some figures have been bandied about, £2.5 million per day. It's costing the Northern Ireland economy. So therefore, he takes a view that he had to act because the government didn't act. Of course, the sovereign government, the UK government, are the people who are in control in terms of the negotiations with the European Union, currently under Liz Truss, as we know. But nothing was happening. So he takes the view that he had to act.
But Liz Truss was meeting with Sefcovic yesterday.
Yeah.
Do you think that this resignation from Givan and putting Stormont effectively into this sort of paralysis has actually moved the dial at all? I mean, we're hearing that the checks are actually still continuing. So what's actually changed?
Well, I think it has moved the dial because if you look at you say she's meeting Sefcovic today. She's been meeting him, and this is the problem. The meetings have been going on. I've been covering this every Friday on my show here at GBNews. What's happening today in the protocol? What's happening today? And it's been a case of nothing. It's just been trundling along. And of course, we know the EU like that because sometimes when they have difficulties, it takes years to come to a decision in the European Union. But all the while, the citizens of Northern Ireland are having to deal with increased cost, reduced choice on their shelves, and it's just not good enough. And that's why Geoffrey Donaldson has acted.
Right, well, let me ask you, this protocol.
Yes.
How much of a turkey was or is this protocol?
Oh, it's a complete turkey. I mean, we were told...
But did you not help bring it about?
No, I absolutely didn't.
But you got into bed with the Conservatives, didn't you? This supply agreement that you had with...
The confidence and supply agreement after the 2018 election, or 2017 election with Theresa May, absolutely. And that was to support her to deliver on Brexit. But the protocol, of course, doesn't deliver on Brexit for Northern Ireland. I've called it the Hotel California. You can check out, but you never leave. And that's how we feel in Northern Ireland. Whilst the rest of the United Kingdom has left, we're actually still in single market regulations and rules, but have absolutely no say in those rules. We don't have any MEPs, so the rules are made in Brussels and they're applied to Northern Ireland, and we have absolutely no say over them.
So what do you think of what Boris Johnson, he talked about oven-ready deals and whatever, and he served you up this one.
Yeah.
What's your feeling about his attention to detail and what he left the people of Northern Ireland with?
Well, I mean, he's very clear about this one. We challenged him at the time and told him that this was going to happen. We met with HMRC. They told us it was going to happen. He said, it'll not happen. It'll be fine. And you've heard him say in the House of Commons in terms that he didn't think it was going to be as bad as it was. Last week, he called the protocol insane. Now, if something is insane, you would think that you would move to deal with it and have it dealt with between the European Union and the UK government. But unfortunately, it's still there.
I've heard he's not totally focused on Northern Ireland and never has been.
Well, that could well be the case.
Very, very good to hear.
That could well be the case.
Interesting. First Minister, thank you. Oh, no, you're not First Minister. Former First Minister.
No, GBNews presenter, I think.
GBNews presenter. Arnie's show's on the
Thank
weekend.
you.
She's going to be back later on. Any points to put to her at GBNews, get in touch with us. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
OK, stay with us. It's 7:20. After the break, we're talking to Paul Coyte about all of the big sports stories. But first of all, here's your forecast.
Good morning. It's colder out there today. Cold enough for some snow and ice in places as well. A cold front has moved across the country through the night, bringing a spell of heavy rain and gusty winds, and it is sweeping away the mild air that's been in place for the past few days, introducing much colder air with a cold feel to it because of the wind, particularly across Scotland. It's not completely cleared away yet. The rain is still across the southeast and East Anglia. A bit of snow in places as well before that scoots away by lunchtime. Sunnier skies follow, but so do the showers. Icy this morning across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland, where we've got plenty of showers that keep going through the day. Snow on the hills, but even to low levels. Sleet and snow likely at times across Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, Northwest England, maybe North Wales. A few wintry showers possible further south. Temperatures struggling, single figures below average. Add on that wind, it feels much closer to freezing. The showers will keep going across the northwest of England, western Scotland through the evening. So again, it could turn icy as temperatures tumble. But then temperatures starting to rise in the north through the night as more cloud and rain moves in. That could bring some snow to parts of Scotland again on Saturday morning. It will be a cold night again with a touch of frost even in towns and cities, certainly in rural areas across the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast to start the weekend. But we should start here with some sunny spells. Generally quite a grey day though on Saturday, a damp day for Scotland. As I said, some snow for a time. Damp and drizzly too for Northern Ireland, Northwest England and much of Wales by the afternoon. Not much rain getting to the south or the east of England. It will be milder, temperatures back up to double figures in places, but it's still going to be windy. And the colder air will return to northern Scotland and spread more widely across the north on Sunday. So Sunday sees some damp weather across the south, wintry showers across the north. And again, for all of us, it's going to be pretty blustery.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
Basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamonn.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
$7:25, time for your sport. Paul Coit is in the studio. Very good morning to you,
Morning.
Paul. Big day in Beijing.
Very
All the world
exciting day.
descending on there for whether it be figure skating, bit of curling, skiing.
Yep.
And opening ceremony today.
Bobsleigh, and
Oh, yeah.
Bob's your uncle. It's all the, look, I've got to tell you, I love the Olympics, and I love the Summer Olympics, I love the Winter Olympics. And I bought something on eBay.
You bought something?
For 30 quid.
Right.
30 quid this was.
Yes.
But this is a piece of Olympic memorabilia. Conrad Bartelski, who was our great skier.
So he wasn't. He was a British skier.
Yes.
But was he from America or something originally?
No, he was, I think it was Polish heritage.
All
but
right,
he was British.
Okay, gotcha.
So anyway, he skied for Britain in the 1980 Olympics. And I saw on eBay, and I was looking for Olympic memorabilia, as you do, and it came up the coat that he wore for the opening ceremony for the 1980 Winter Olympics.
Get out of it.
And all I saw when I saw it was Eamonn Holmes. So I've got it. I've actually got
Only
it.
if it's in medium. If it's in medium, it'll fit.
Oh my goodness!
Look at the. And be careful with the inside because I'm not really sure what that is. But there it is.
That's
so
amazing.
I phoned Conrad about this, and I phoned him and I said, "I've got
I could
your
do with
coat.
that on."
It would fit you perfectly, Izzy. And I said, "I've got your coat, Conrad.
It's got wolf hair inside.
It's real
can
wolf.
I keep this on? Oh, is it real wolf?
It's been gone for over 42 years, so I shouldn't
okay.
worry too much. Look at that. It looks great.
Very good.
Sorry, my mic's being ruined.
And so
wow,
Conrad
thank
didn't
you.
want it back, and I thought it'd be a lovely hand.
And he didn't want it back.
And I said, "I've got your coat. How do you feel about it?" He said, "Oh, not bothered." And I said, "Well, don't you want the coat back? You know, it's the actual coat you wore at the opening ceremony." He said, "No, I'm good, thanks." And then I got it, and then I realised maybe why.
Are you taking bids for it now?
Well, I think I've lost it already, to be honest with you. But there it is. So that's a piece of history. 42 years ago.
Thank you.
There's the coat.
There you go.
Quite like that.
It's not bad,
We
is it?
started talking about a coat with Ellie Costello's
Yes,
coat. Look
yes,
what you ended up
there
with.
you are.
Amazing.
I'd be proud if you wore that for the rest of the show.
OK, FA Cup match tonight. You got Man United against Middlesbrough at Old Trafford.
Yep.
Love the cup. What I want to say to you, though, is Ralph Rangnick. Tell me what you know about the camp there, because basically I saw a lot of reports yesterday about United still interested in Pochettino, your old man, and he'll be available in the summer, which I thought was a bit surprising because Rangnick hasn't done a bad job so far.
He hasn't done a bad job, but it doesn't look as if he's endearing himself too well to the players, as far as I can see. The Jesse Lingard situation, so put it into some context here. Jesse Lingard, it was announced at a press conference yesterday that Ralph Rangnick said that Jesse Lingard would not be involved in this game at the weekend because he needs some time away to get some headspace. And this is what he needs, and so he's been said to do this. So, OK, fair enough, if that's the reason. So Jesse Lingard puts out on Twitter last night, and he said, "The club has advised me to have time off due to personal reasons, but my headspace is clear and I'll always be professional when called upon and give 100%.
Fair enough.
Which sounds a bit veiled as in, I'm fine. I'm good to play. Why are you doing this to me?
I heard that the deal was done with Jesse Lingard and Newcastle. And then the Mason Greenwood situation happened and he was suspended, which meant that United needed cover in that position, and Jesse Lingard was it. So last minute they yanked the deal.
Right.
So it might be he's going, you know,
what's going on? And also, why does he need time away? It's an interesting thing. I mean, I've never been a professional footballer, but I know lots of them. And I've spoken to a few about this situation who have often said, in a situation where I may need headspace, the place where I would get the headspace is playing football, because that's what I know and that's what I'm comfortable and that's how I feel about it. Now, this happened with Jesse Lingard, so this has only happened. Anthony Martial, pretty much the same thing happened a couple of weeks ago. Ralph Rangnick's come out and said, you know, this guy needs a break. And he's like, well, actually, I'm fine. So that... When we talk about managers over the years, often, as you know, great managers, and so Sir Alex, of course, you know very well, this is someone that will rule the club. Whereas now, it seems that players, if you don't get on with a manager, the players are more likely the ones that are going to stay, not the manager.
Well, it's player power, agent power, whatever.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
What? Oh,
that smells.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh.
It smells of old. It smells of old dog. You know, it smells.
Is that what you're calling me now?
Yes, I'm sitting here. I was talking to Paul in this direction, and this whiff is coming.
I don't care, I'm warm.
That's not
finally.
old dog. That's Conrad Bartelski from 1980. That's the man that's just done the downhill.
Aubameyang, right? Out of Arsenal.
Yeah.
But he's not letting it go, is he?
No, he's not. He's letting Arteta have it. He's blaming Arteta, and he's trying to say that it's nothing to do with anybody else but Mikel Arteta. You know, nobody seems very happy at the moment. You know, everybody seems to be throwing the mud left, right and centre. So Aubameyang, I think, was probably the right thing for Arsenal and for him as well. He wanted out. I think most of the fans wanted him out as well. Yeah. So how it's going to go at Barcelona?
But you know, in days of old, when you had 11 players on the pitch and a substitute.
Yeah.
You might have had a junior player or so, you know, to make up some sort of squad.
Yeah.
That was it. The competition for places was not the same. Now you've got huge squads of very talented players, and a lot of them just don't get a look in.
Well, there is that, and also it means the competition is it just has to be there, because then you'll have players that will maybe not act in the way that they should, because they assume that they are going to walk into the team whenever they want. And we've all seen players play and just think, you know, I don't mind as long as I see someone giving 100%, but it happens when they...
The African Cup of Nations, Sunday is the final. Tell us who's in it and what do you think?
You know what? It is Egypt, and who knocked out Cameroon. And who are they playing? Who are they playing in the final?
Senegal.
Of course, they're playing Senegal. So we've got Sadio Mane's team
against Salah's team.
Against Salah's team.
Yeah.
So... if you're Liverpool, you've probably been watching that and thinking, when are they going to get knocked out? Because finally we're going to get our players back. But the final's on Sunday. Egypt have won it more times than anybody else.
Yeah.
Had a little bit of a wobbly start, but now they're in the final. So I think they're probably going to go all the way.
So that is Sunday. It's scheduled for a 7 o'clock UK time kickoff Sunday evening. Okay. Paul, good man. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks for bringing us up to anything else.
No, I think the coat.
Do you want the coat back?
No, I think keep the coat. And I think the coat smells pretty good. I think it smells great.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually can't smell anything.
Well, that's because of COVID, isn't it?
I think I
dealt it. The phrase that we use to do with the coat. So I think it's something like that.
Well, whilst we squabble over the coat, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with the front pages of the newspapers with Liz Kershaw and Oscar Reddrop. See you in a sec.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate.
From all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel.
Right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
Basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamonn
and Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Twenty-five to 8 is the time. This is Eamonn and Isabel, GB News at breakfast on TV and radio.
We're going to take a look at your front pages now, so you don't have to go out and buy your papers. The Telegraph leading with reports that senior cabinet ministers are pushing for an overhaul of the government's net zero plans after the recent price cap rise.
Here's the Mirror. They say the performance of Rishi Sunak and other Conservative ministers was insulting to the public after they started laughing in the House of Commons during the unveiling of the new energy caps.
The Times leads on households experiencing the biggest fall in their living standards since records began.
Daily Mail also looks at Downing Street, which it claims has gone into meltdown after the Prime Minister ordered a clear out of senior aides, or after they cleared out before he ordered it. We're not sure which way round that is.
Chicken and the egg. Well, here to go through the papers with us this morning is the broadcaster, Liz Kershaw, and the former Conservative Red Wall advisor, Oscar Redrup. Very warm welcome back to both of you. Oscar, let's start then with the front of the Times. And, you know, to be honest, most of the papers covering this in some capacity, although the Downing Street shenanigans unbelievably shunting it off some of the front pages. And this is about that cost of living crisis that we're facing.
Yeah, this, I think we also, because of the pandemic, because we have consistently, I think, in the media and unfortunately at Number 10, obsessed over the personal politics, we have overlooked this issue. It has been creeping up on us, and it is absolutely here now. I think what's brilliant actually about just in the green room watching the show is actually just on the doorstep hearing people's real world problems and the reaction to the news we're seeing today. It's a huge risk that the government are basically banking with the softening kind of policy that we're seeing from Sunak. They're basically banking that energy prices are going to be lower in the future, and there is absolutely no guarantees on that whatsoever. I think the real pinch point, and I'm trying to be as upbeat as possible, but it is hard with stories like this, will be in April, where there'll be a national insurance tax hike. And that is going to be, I think, real crisis moment for a lot of people.
But I suppose, Oscar, I mean, people have got to be realistic. I think it's awful. I totally agree with everything you're saying. But how the heck's he going to pay for this furlough business and all that went on during coronavirus?
No, completely. I mean, the economy, as we all know, for obvious reasons, has suffered shocks that it hasn't had to deal with in 300 years. I think the real solution, this is my personal view, is that after a huge seismic crisis like this, where we need to balance the books and try and soften stuff for normal people just trying to get about their lives, I think we need to rethink the net zero policy, because we are also taking that on our shoulders at the same time. And the two is just too much. And I know government ministers and a lot of Tory backbench MPs, I think in the coming weeks and months, will apply real pressure on that. We need to have a real rethink about net zero.
Seriously, though, Oscar, I mean, you know, take on board what you're saying. What are the chances of that happening, particularly the way the UK would look on the world stage?
I mean, I think the way...
It's not going to happen.
Well, I think first and foremost, the UK and Number 10 need to get their own house in order before we can start worrying about what the other nations think. They need to get their own house in order, and then we can actually concentrate on our domestic policy. Hopefully, I mean, as we previously discussed, the chaos at the moment cannot continue. And then we can have a genuine, upfront and hopefully productive conversation about how regular people are meant to be burdened with so much.
Yeah, it looks like regular people are going to be about £2,500 worse off, and they say that is the worst credit crunch in 32 years.
Well, a suggestion, he could start off by recouping, is it 39 billion or something that people have taken free money from the government, and a lot of it fraudulently by setting up businesses deliberately to claim. I mean, I did my end of year tax, I'm sure you have, and the accountant's going, well, did you not get any loans? Self-employed, did you not take any money off the government? I said, no, it never occurred to me, but people have been raking it. And there seems absolutely no attempt to recoup that. I think, again, I agree, I said last time I was on, we've got absolutely no energy security. We've, closed down the mines, we've banned fracking, we're phasing out North Sea oil and gas, we're relying on wind power. If there's no wind, we're short of energy. If there's loads of wind, then it could, it can blow up the whole system, overload. It's just ridiculous. We're asking people to pay £250 on their energy bills, for this green policy, and then we're giving it back to them, £200 towards your gas. It's just
I was
ridiculous.
reading today that with the advent of electric cars, we lose revenue from petrol, for instance.
Right.
And so basically then they've got to tax us in other ways to make up for that. So the green dream's not all that it
Although we
seems
could make
to be.
money if we get world leaders with the gigafactories and the batteries for electric cars. There's loads of manufacturing opportunities in the green world, and lots of people watching, not everybody, but a lot of people were saying, should we really be sacrificing the green agenda when, as Liz says, there's so much waste going on in government with fraud and writing off however much it is in left, right and centre on PPE contracts?
No, I think government... it's interesting, the Conservatives have always based their brand around kind of economic competency and managing, managing the books, balancing the books well. And admittedly, in the face of a crisis like COVID, many eyes were taken off many balls, it seems, and I think that will be a real, the next election, for example, that will be that kind of rebranding from the Tories to kind of say, hang on, no, you can trust us with money. I think it's a really, really tough job they got on there.
Well, they need to brand themselves as Conservatives, don't they? Small states, low taxes, make your own decisions, be personally responsible. Yeah. I'm not saying you don't help people in need. Of course you do. That's fundamental. But at the moment, it's big state, big spend, hand it out, take it back. Oh, you're a bit short now, we'll hand you some back. It's ridiculous. I mean, the one thing on this with the cost of living, and we're talking about energy a lot, obviously, but the other thing is mortgage bills. Now, I did economics, and I was always taught that you put up interest rates in order to take money out of people's pockets so that they've got less disposable income, therefore there's less demand for other goods, therefore it cools down demand, it cools down the economy, it cools down inflation. So at the time when, due to global factors like energy, off-the-scale energy prices, which are taking vast amounts of money out of people's pockets, why the hell, what's the rationale for the Bank of England putting up the base rate?
Because there's less money about anyway.
People have got less money to spend anyway. Okay, that lady you had on just before 6:30 was saying, I'm going to have to spend more on food, so I'm not going to be going to the cinema. That's a living example of the theory behind raising interest rates.
But you've got another, what has become policy here. This is page 10 of the Times, buying blankets.
Well, it's like, well, turn your heating down and keep warm. I'm all for that. I like a cool house. And then if I get call me stingy, but why eat a 4-bedroomed house? Like yesterday, I put my fleecy onesie on. Yeah. And I stuck my water bottle onesie. And I watched Talking Pictures in the afternoon. I was lovely and toasty. So I'm all for that.
I love Talking Pictures.
I love Talking Pictures.
I have them all series linked tape. Yeah. And I was watching about the great black actors yesterday. And
No, it's brilliant. There's a Talking Pictures festival every year in Stockport.
Really?
You'll have to come, yeah.
And do you know what gets me? We don't do interviews with movie stars like that anymore.
Yeah.
It's all gimmick and all sorts of... It's just trivial. Everything's trivial. There's no real interesting conversation. You see interviews with people like Richard Burton holding a glass of whiskey in his hand and a cigarette and saying, well, I said to Elizabeth, come and marry me. I immediately fell lustily in love with her. And, you know, and it's amazing.
I've done that impression before. That was very good.
Very good. Anyway, I was just thinking that I think it's time we showed the Monty Python sketch again, you know. And we had a handful of gravel, and if you tell that to the kids today, because yesterday I was thinking, I'm OK with this, but I don't want to think we're going back to the days when we were kids. I remember when we had growing up, we had no central heating.
Ice on the inside of the windows.
Lino on the floor.
1 bar electric fire.
No, my dad used to get up, light the coal fire.
Yes.
Then they'd hang our uniforms over the maid.
Fire guard.
Yeah, and then we'd all huddle around and get dressed and have a bowl of porridge and be off to school with our Liberty bodices and balaclavas. I don't want that back.
Quite sentimental and nice, sort of cosy memory.
Never did us any harm. I mean, I honestly remember being 7 or 8 and being entrusted with lighting the fire in the morning with the firelighters and the newspaper and the sticks that you would put on. I could do it to this day.
No, but it is interesting, and I don't want to do the link for you, but I'll come on to the next story in terms of Half Dead Dave.
Oh yes, now this is explain this to us. Who is Half Dead Dave, and why is he in the news?
So this is like the knowledge transfer between young and old, I think, and this is why your story, I think, links really well with this. So
watch it, pal.
Younger and older.
Me and Eamonn, we might watch talking pictures, but we've got life in us.
We were getting on so well. So basically, a veteran plumber nicknamed Half Dead Dave because of his age has won £25,000 in compensation, basically because people were taking the mickey out of him at work. And with the energy and cost of living crisis, that 25k, I'm very happy to see Dave take that home. But more importantly, like in the industry I work in, you know, it's a very young industry. But as a young person, you do crave actually working alongside people with a bit of wisdom. And actually that kind of that age bias, I think, is something we do need to talk about and think about more. You know, some of the best conversations I've ever had at work are with people that, you know, in inverted commas, may be deemed to be, you know, too old. And even when we were talking about the energy crisis now, like I'm, you know, turning my heating down and getting a blanket out and all that kind of stuff. I'm doing that, and that always makes me think of my grandma and just like, you know, the stuff she used to tell me when I was a kid. And so I think young and old, in the workplace especially, I think there's real synergy and it should be encouraged.
And that's one of the things that's really been lost, I think, with people working from home. You know, there's certain people of my age group who are quite happy to do that because it means they can connect more with their own family. But for those at the beginning of their career, they're not learning from those who've been doing it for decades, and that's a real loss to the workplace.
Do you know, talking about Half Dead Dave, I'll ask each of you to think: did you have a nickname at school or work? I mean, Isabel in here is known as Potty Mouth Pierce.
Oh my God!
Well, after yesterday, I was disgusted. Frankly,
actually,
I immediately turned over to talking.
Don't say that. My mother-in-law, Mrs. Pierce, the original Mrs. Pierce, genuinely was horrified with me. So
Isabel, I've been on national channels
for
37 years, and I've never sworn on air.
Oh my God! Taxi for one. Taxi for one.
If it's not in your manner or your vocabulary like me, you wouldn't. Did you have a nickname, Liz?
Not at school, but my nephew and niece gave me a nickname.
Which was?
Well, it's Happy, but happy. I'm happy. I must have a permanent, simple grin on my face.
That's a great gift.
What about you?
Well, I suppose they called me Sherlock at school.
There you go. I like it.
Not sure mine's suitable for broadcast.
Well, whisper it to Isabel.
Yeah, we'll do it later.
Right.
But I always remember, you know, like when you went to school with people who would wet themselves and whatever, and then they would stink for the rest of the day. And I can't name the names. But they're always called...
Didn't have that at Rochdale Convent.
Did you not? No. We had. Did you never have somebody in the class who constantly pooed their pants?
Oh my gosh, no, Eamonn, not at my girls' school either.
And they were 17 as well at the time. But they're always like, I can't give the surname because they're known as Smelly whatever. You know, like so Smelly Webster or whatever it is.
Let's not make that name stick. I was called Fizzy.
Fizzy?
Fizzy Izzy, because I was quite bubbly.
Izzy Wizzy, let's get busy.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay.
Very good, very good.
We were talking about Talking Pictures. You've also been talking about other shows coming back, Liz. This is being covered in The Times, page 36. But BBC Three has made its return to the airwaves.
Yeah, what a farce. I remember it being scrapped and put onto online only because the young audience they want to attract was only interested in that, and now they've put it back. One of the funniest interviews I've ever seen was Jeremy Paxman interviewing Mark Thompson, the DG, Director General at the time, 2012, and he said to him, "Do you know what's on BBC Three tonight?" And he goes, "Skippy the Kangaroo, then a documentary about marsupials in the Australian outback, then Skippy the Kangaroo with subtitles." And, you know, just absolute rubbish. So it's brought back. It's a real mixed bag. There's repeats, there's sport. None of the BBC channels are defined at all now. It used to be that BBC 4 was for arts.
Yes.
Music night. Friday night was all music documentaries. So I think the BBC should get up to date, do very much what Sky does, where they have designated channels. You've got
Sky Documentary,
Sky
Sky
News,
History.
Sky Sport, Sky History, Sky Arts, which is a brilliant channel, because people don't sit there all night now and watch whatever's put in front of them, for instance, on BBC One or BBC Three. They think, I want music tonight, or I want football. And they should organise it and do it in that way.
Who is BBC Three for?
It's for young people, apparently.
I don't watch it.
I don't.
To be honest. Yeah.
No, it's just crazy, and to bring it back was a really bad timing. Just as Nadine Dorries said, you're going to have to cut your cloth to fit.
Accordingly,
and we might scrap the last bit. Just as an aside, there's an article today in the Daily Mail that in Denmark, because this is it's not unique to the world, Europe, you have to fund public service broadcasting, and in Denmark they've decided they're going to tax the big American companies like Netflix, Disney Plus, and they're going to use that money domestically to create local
smart idea.
content.
But you know what I think is strange? When I was young, you used to be able to turn on BBC One, 8 o'clock on a Monday night, Star Trek. 8 o'clock on a Thursday night, Dallas, right? You will never, ever see an American programme on evening time British TV, ITV or BBC.
Oh, not really noticed.
You don't. They're absolutely not. There's some sort of agreement or whatever it is. It does not happen. So it will be a British drama, whatever. And you know, that may well be a good thing.
I think that's a great thing.
Well, you say it's a great thing, but there are so many great American series that it's sort of like, I think is again quite patronising that you can't see this show. We're not putting this on network TV because it's not good for you. We'll cultivate our own boring stuff or whatever. But
I'll get you a Dallas box set though if you want.
But that was part and parcel. That was the domestic diet. That's the way it was, rightly or wrongly. Rightly or wrong, I'm just saying. Anyway, guys, thanks very much indeed.
Was lovely.
Elizabeth and Oscar will be back in 1 hour's time.
Yeah, don't run away. I want to know what your nickname was at school, but we'll come back to that in a minute. For now, we're going to find out where we've been on your doorstep. So our southeast of England, Ellie Costello, is out and about in Leigh-on-Sea this morning for us. Ellie, of course, there was this by-election yesterday in the wake of the death of Sir David Amess. Conservatives have held the seat. What's the mood? What are people saying to you there this morning?
Hi, Isabel and Eamonn. Well, the sun is just coming up now in Chalkwell. We've just come down to Chalkwell, which is a district of Southend-on-Sea. It's actually just over the other side of these houses. We've just taken a walk over. Really beautiful red sunrise there. Lots of people out for walks and runs already. Lots of people flying kites, actually. It's quite windy here today. Chalkwell is a lovely family area of Southend-on-Sea. So we're here not only because it's lovely, but as you say, there was the by-election in Southend West, which is what Chalkwell is a part of yesterday, and all of the main parties, they stepped aside for this by-election in a sign of respect for Sir David Amess, who was fatally stabbed whilst holding a constituency surgery in October of last year. They wanted it to go to the Conservatives. That's exactly what happened. Anna Firth is now the new Conservative MP for Southend West. So we're here to talk to local people about that by-election today, and we're also going to be talking to them about issues that matter to them. So let's go meet our next guest. She's in this house here, this lovely big white house. Let's just take you round the side of this house here. This is number 14. And we'll just go down this little side alleyway. Is there a knocker? Yes, there is. Here's someone coming. Hello, you are live on TV and on radio. Do you want to introduce yourself to people who are watching and listening at home?
Hi, I'm Naomi, and I live in Chalkwell.
Yes, and Chalkwell is lovely. Can we pop inside?
Come in.
Hello, who's the little one?
This is Ernie.
Hi, Ernie. Oh, I think Ernie's quite shy, but he just said hello. Oh, there he is. There's his little head. Are you going to say a quick hello to the camera and give us a little wave?
Hello.
This is Ernie. You're very handsome, aren't you? Is he off to school? Is that what he's getting ready for?
Yeah, and you've actually...
Oh, you're getting ready for school. There you go. Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Ellie.
This is husband Mark.
This is cameraman Steve. Hi, Mark. Hi.
You've actually just missed Vegemite toast, but
oh no!
A cup of tea. Would you like?
I'd love a cup of tea,
Mark,
please.
Can you grab a tea?
The old poor man is tucking into his breakfast and we've got him making us tea. Thank you so much. If you take a seat, because you are pregnant, aren't you? Congratulations. When you due?
I've got about 6 weeks to go.
Oh, congratulations. Well, you look absolutely fantastic. And Chalkwell is amazing as well. How long have you been here?
We actually moved, not on purpose, but literally right at the beginning of lockdown. Okay. So like 14th of March, lockdown hit. Were we going to get into the house or not? Yeah, and we came.
And you came from London, right?
Yes.
Which is a pattern that we're seeing. What was that move about?
So we were living in a 2-bed flat on Mare Street, which in our single days was great transport links, super fun, loads of parties. But with little one, just super noisy road, small place. And we really wanted to buy somewhere, and we just came here for a little day trip and fell in love very randomly. There are no connections to Essex whatsoever.
Yeah.
And looked at the house prices and were like, oh my God, look at what we can buy here.
It is absolutely amazing, isn't it? So what sealed the deal for you? What do you love about this area so much?
So hubby's originally from Australia, and it's definitely not Australian beaches, but just having the beach so close, feeling like there's greenery, waking up. I still commute into London a few days a week for work, but just having green open spaces, it just feels like a much nicer place to bring up kiddies.
Yeah, it makes all the difference. And it must have been crazy here during lockdown as well, right? People flocking to the beaches.
So, at the beginning, no, when people weren't allowed. So we got to know this area when no one was here, which was so blissful. We were going on, we actually all learned how to skateboard. We were cruising up the seafront. It was gorgeous. And then, yes, then it did get busier, but our little part of the beach, Chalkwell, isn't as crazy. If you kind of go down to Southend, you've kind of got big tourists.
No, Chalkwell is lovely. I've got one last question for you, and then we've got to hand back. But there was a by-election here yesterday, very sadly, after the death of Sir David Amess. Did you vote in the by-election yesterday?
I didn't vote. Actually.
Not many people did, to be honest. Just 24% of people. Why do you think that was?
So it was kind of a set win. The other candidates like Labour, Lib Dem decided they weren't going to vote out of respect for David Amess, which seemed right. The other parties were kind of smaller spin-off, like independents. Yeah. And she seemed like, I suppose, like a nice lady. She just moved to Leigh-on-Sea, a nice candidate, so why not go for it?
Yeah. And all the best to her. Well, thank you so much, Naomi, for having us in your lovely home. Eamonn and Isabel, stay with me, because in the next hour we're going to be going to a dental surgery, which is about 200 metres from where Sir David Amess was killed. I think it's going to be quite a sombre visit, but very important to reflect on who was a great man.
OK, Ellie, thank you. We'll be with you for that shortly.
Thanks very much, everybody who's getting in touch with us this morning. Maria says, I remember the nicknames at school. I'm laughing out loud at you talking about them. This was knicker-wettingly funny and a good start to the day. John Andrews says, and this is interesting, John. John says, I don't know about you two, but we used to put bread on a fork and put that in front of the fire bars or the fire to make toast.
Ooh, yeah, not me, but I like the idea. I might try it.
Yeah.
Lots of people loving Conrad Bartelski's coat making an appearance as well. Trust me, I'm missing it. We've got to take a break. We'll be back at the top of the next hour. We'll be talking about the cost of living, how it affects you, plus lots of money-saving tips. But first of all, let's take a look at your weekend forecast.
Good morning. It's colder out there today, cold enough for some snow and ice in places as well. A cold front has moved across the country through the night, bringing a spell of heavy rain and gusty winds, and it is sweeping away the mild air that's been in place for the past few days, introducing much colder air with a cold feel to it because of the wind, particularly across Scotland. It's not completely cleared away yet. The rain is still across the southeast and East Anglia. A bit of snow in places as well before that scoots away by lunchtime. Sunnier skies follow, but so do the showers. Icy this morning across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland, where we've got plenty of showers that keep going through the day. Snow on the hills, but even to low levels. Sleet and snow likely at times across Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, northwest England, maybe North Wales. A few wintry showers possible further south. Temperatures struggling, single figures below average. Add on that wind, it feels much closer to freezing. The showers will keep going across the northwest of England, Western Scotland through the evening. So again, it could turn icy as temperatures tumble. But then temperatures starting to rise in the north through the night as more cloud and rain moves in. That could bring some snow to parts of Scotland again on Saturday morning. It will be a cold night again with a touch of frost even in towns and cities, certainly in rural areas across the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast to start the weekend. But we should start here with some sunny spells. Generally quite a grey day though on Saturday, a damp day for Scotland. As I said, some snow for a time. Damp and drizzly too for Northern Ireland, northwest England and much of Wales by the afternoon. Not much rain getting to the south or the east of England. It will be milder, temperatures back up to double figures in places, but it's still going to be windy, and the colder air will return to northern Scotland and spread more widely across the north on Sunday. So Sunday sees some damp weather across the south, wintry showers across the north, and again, for all of us, it's going to be pretty blustery.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamonn
and Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Boris Johnson faced with not one, not two, not three, but 4 resignations from his closest aides.
Good morning. This is Breakfast with Eamonn and Isabel, and it is 8:02 on Friday, the 4th of February. We're live across the whole of the UK on your TV and on your radio.
Thanks for your company. Here's what you're waking up to.
A chief of staff, a principal private secretary, a director of communications and a policy chief all decided to jump ship at the same time, but some allies of the Prime Minister say this was all part of the promised changes to the Number 10 operation.
Meanwhile, the Chancellor appears to have put some distance between himself and the Prime Minister over those Jimmy Savile comments which were targeted against Keir Starmer.
To be honest, I wouldn't have said it, and I'm glad that the Prime Minister clarified what he meant.
Another resignation, and this time it's in Northern Ireland, as the First Minister Paul Givan stood down, plunging the devolved government at Stormont into turmoil. We'll be finding out what this means for Northern Ireland and indeed the rest of the UK.
And we're on your doorstep this morning with Ellie Costello in Southend West, where a by-election took place after the death last October of the Conservative MP Sir David Amess. Conservative candidate Anna Firth won with 86% of the vote after the main parties chose not to contest the seat.
And don't forget, you can get in touch with us throughout the morning. We love to hear from you on all of the discussions of the day. GBnews at gbnews.uk or tweet us at GBnews.
And people... So lots of people still talking about the cost of living and what they're trying to do about it. I suppose ways in which to save money.
That's right. Ian says, I try and use homegrown veg as much as I can in my local allotment.
Yeah.
It cuts down on the food shop each week. I love that idea.
How brilliant. I love the idea of having an allotment.
Me too.
Yeah, and the
I
idea
kill every plant I buy.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm not green-fingered. I try.
There's nothing as nice as a vegetable soup. You know, something really nice to
Vegetable soup, so warming.
So warming and lovely and nutritious and all sorts of things and not fattening. Sandra, my mum used to tell me that I should stop leaving the lights on in my room when I was younger. Now I can't stop telling my kids the same thing.
Amazing how that happens.
Yeah, but, you know, when we all end up and we all have to be responsible for our bills, you realise that's got to be done.
Yeah, turning the computer off at the plug and the same for the TV saves me loads. That wastes energy when they're left on standby mode. Oh dear, I'm in trouble, because not only that, I put my little lamps on timers, so I don't even have to go and switch them on and off. They just come on by themselves.
So I actually thought, well, if the TV wasn't transmitting, then you'd be saving money because
I think it saves a little bit on standby mode. I might be wrong, but sounds like you need to turn them off at the plug, which isn't going to happen because that's a right pain.
But there is an incredibly irritating thing, I don't know if you have this with your TV, that you're sitting and you've been watching something for probably quite a few hours, and the TV decides, this TV is now going into standby mode. And that's when you run and say, where are the controls? Where are the controls?
Absolutely infuriating.
And you lose a recording or something that you were at. So, especially if you were on
Sky Plus.
Time delay. When you sort of think, I'm watching this deliberately half an hour behind, and then the TV turns itself off. Don't like that.
That's really annoying.
So, anyway, very annoying time for Boris Johnson. 4 senior aides resigned within hours of each other.
Yeah, here to tell us more about it all is our political correspondent Tom Harwood. He's in Downing Street for us this morning. Look, this was all kicked off, wasn't it, by Munira Mirza, a close ally of Boris Johnson for years, and then it sort of seemed to precipitate a bit of a tsunami of resignations.
It absolutely has, and I've got some breaking news to add to you this morning. In the last few minutes, one further aide has resigned. Elena Narazansky was in the policy unit, not one of the senior aides in Downing Street, but worked under Munira Mirza in the policy unit of Number 10, and this morning she has resigned in the last few minutes as well. There is a bit of a feeling that there is a change at the top of this street, at the top of this government. How much of it is wanted by Number 10 and how much of it could be described as potentially rats fleeing a sinking ship? That's what the detractors of this Prime Minister will be saying. However, Conservative MPs this morning, many of whom saying that the Prime Minister was promising changes in the way that the Number 10 operation was run, promising not only structural but also personnel changes, and some of these resignations, I think, will be welcomed by Conservative MPs. Not least of all, Martin Reynolds, of course, the senior aide to Boris Johnson, who sent that now infamous bring your own booze email inviting Number 10 staff to that drinks event in the garden of Downing Street during the first lockdown. I think that some of these resignations, particularly the 3 we heard about after Munira Mirza last night, were more to do with Number 10 wanting them out than people resigning of their own volition.
OK, and away from the sort of people behind the scenes, a supposed key ally of the Prime Minister, his right-hand man, the Chancellor Rishi Sunak, showing a little bit of perhaps a fractious relationship there in some of his comments yesterday?
Yes, I think that Rishi Sunak has not been the closest ally of Boris Johnson over the last few months, not least of all when Boris Johnson came to tell the Commons, to apologise to the Commons about this whole affair. Rishi Sunak was not in Westminster. He had rushed off to Devon, I believe it was, on the other side of the country. He hasn't been seen to be that close to Boris Johnson recently, and indeed last night at his solo press conference in number 9 Downing Street, putting distance between himself and the Prime Minister over those Jimmy Savile comments that the Prime Minister made, saying that he would not have made those comments himself, but also saying that he was glad that the Prime Minister clarified what he meant. Of course, these are the comments that seem to be the reason why Munira Mirza resigned yesterday. That's what she said in her letter. She'd asked the Prime Minister to not only clarify but also apologise, and the Prime Minister simply clarified that he meant that Sir Keir Starmer was not personally involved in the prosecution decision over Sir Keir Starmer, but took over Jimmy Savile, but took responsibility for it as head of the organisation. Well, Munira Mirza wanted an outright apology, and she didn't get one quite as she wanted. But also, of course, the Chancellor there saying that he would not have made those comments in the first place. A bit of a significant moment, not standing as close to the Prime Minister as some might have expected.
It's interesting how all this is being spun, Tom. We're just looking here. Downing Street spinning this. This is the Prime Minister taking control here. But clearly, in the case of Munira Mirza, that is not the case. And also we're seeing here that there seems to have been, it's been reported in the Mail today, that there was a stand-up between Ms Mirza and the Prime Minister's wife, Carrie Johnson. And what are they saying about this, Isabel?
Well, it's according to one source that they're quoting that they were overheard having a row, and that Carrie Johnson was accusing Munira Mirza of being disloyal, and certainly speaks to not necessarily a Prime Minister in control, which is how it's trying to be spun this morning.
So basically, yeah, I mean, is he in control, or are they jumping ship?
Well, this is the question, and if you speak to different people, you will get different answers. Certainly, in the MP's WhatsApp group yesterday, one of the whips was encouraging members of Parliament to tweet out messages saying that the Prime Minister had promised to get a grip of his organisation, and these personnel changes show that that's what he's doing. However, you're absolutely right to say there has been infighting in Number 10. There has been infighting in Number 10 for quite some time between various factions. At first, there was the Vote Leave faction. They were pushed out by those who were closer to the Prime Minister's wife, Carrie Johnson. And indeed, there are other groups within Number 10, those who are closer to the Chancellor, those who want to see a more, shall we say, conservative political agenda, who are worried about net zero, who think that some of the interventionist policies of this government have gone too far. There's certainly disagreement within that building behind me. However, I don't think that we can lump all of these resignations in the same box. The Munira Mirza resignation is certainly significant. It's certainly political. However, those three following resignations, they seem like they would have come sooner or later anyway, not least because of their involvement in the Partygate affair.
Well, stand by. Let us know if you hear of any more resignations in the course of the next day.
Yeah, so we've got a fifth name to add to that, a Number 10 Policy Unit member quitting, breaking there exclusively from Tom at Downing Street. More resignations, this time in Northern Ireland. The First Minister, Paul Givan, stood down yesterday, which has plunged the devolved government there into absolute turmoil.
Yeah, let's speak to our reporter now, Doogie Beattie, who's been covering all of this for us. Doogie, look, this is a really complicated situation because we're still hearing that those checks are happening at the border, and we now have a sort of government there in paralysis. What does this mean for the protocol?
Well, the protocol will have to now be examined very, very carefully. I think the EU may now take it a bit more serious of what has actually happened here. The checks still continue at the ports. that could work out very badly for the civil servants that are doing that. They could be held responsible for any damage done to goods there if it was handed down by the Minister and has been proved by the Attorney General to be legal. So that will need to be looked at better. As well as that, there is a lot of checks that do go on anyway, historical checks, things like livestock for foot and mouth, TB, etc. That has always went on, and it probably will still go on. So how much of that is being reported as checks and being mistaken for the DERA checks will have to be sorted out. But the government behind us here now is basically a zombie government with no First Minister. They cannot operate an executive, they cannot make decisions, and they will just be in place for probably up to 6 months. The legislation is coming through Westminster on Monday. But this will have shockwaves the whole way through Ireland, as well as the UK and as well as the EU. The EU will now have to decide what it does about the protocol itself and the checks coming into Northern Ireland. The Republic of Ireland, who depend on 65 billion a year coming from Britain, will also have to look quite closely at it. And as we've been hearing from Tom Howard, moves around the Prime Minister, we look at Rishi Sunak, but we also look at Liz Truss, who is the Foreign Secretary who's trying to sort this out. It may be a good platform for her to have a go at the leadership of the Tory party. But over the next few weeks and months here, they are talking about elections. But the problem is there's elections to nothing, because no matter what happens, we still have to sort the problems out of the protocol that the unionists aren't happy with, because it takes away the principle of consent. And nationalists have to realise that that is a problem. And without that realisation, this is going nowhere.
Yeah, that is so complex. It's such a complicated procedure. What's going on so many levels there. But you mentioned Liz Truss there, and the European Union. Liz Truss, their heads are turned towards Ukraine. Boris Johnson, he's just getting people all around him resigning. I just wonder how much attention, or where we, and I say we as in Northern Ireland, are in the pecking order, on the to-do list.
Well, you're quite right, Eamonn. You and I lived through very hard times in Northern Ireland, and that violence usually came when there was a political vacuum. I don't think they can wait that long on coming out with something here, something to drive this forward. The problem is that Sinn Féin is now riding that high in the polls in the Republic of Ireland. They will probably form the next government in the Republic, so therefore they cannot be seen as neutral in any talks that would take place here. Of course, the last one, Julian Smith and Simon Coveney got this place up and running the last time round after it came down straight after Brexit. It was meant to be brought down over a renewable heat incentive, but in reality it was Sinn Féin didn't want to get involved in Brexit talks. It would have took it out of the EU. That took quite a while, 3 years to get it back up and running again. There is nobody here that can be seen as neutral to get this back on track.
Dougie, thanks for your take. Appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed.
Now, if you weren't following the news yesterday, then one thing you may have missed is the state-backed loans to give all homes a discount of £200 on their energy bills. But the question we're asking this morning is this really enough to alleviate pressure on families?
And remember, it is a loan, as you say there. It is a loan. It's got to be paid back at some stage. Here's Ruth London. Ruth is from the Fuel Poverty Action Group. Ruth, what did you think of the announcement? Obviously, anything is welcome, so dire and so bad is the situation. But really, is it going to make much of a difference?
It's nothing like enough. It's a drop in the ocean, really, because it's not only the £700 we're expecting now. It's what happened last October. It's what's going to happen next October. And it's all the other price increases that it's coming on top of, and the cuts to universal credit. You know, people are really up against it and suffering the kind of destitution that we haven't seen in the UK for a very long time. And the idea that the government is now going to make a loan on our behalf, which we are then expected to repay. You know, repay it out of what? What do they think we're going to have in the future to be paying even more on bills that are already so high? Where are we going to find that money? And, we must say that there is plenty of money. We're calling for a windfall tax. We've been doing that since the autumn. Not only a windfall tax, but stop the massive millions of pounds that are going to fossil fuel companies, oil and gas, every day, millions every day, and other.
Ruth, it's fascinating talking to you and people who we have had on talking about their circumstances. The pain is there in their face, the pain is in their voice. I can hear it with you as to how serious this whole situation is. It's one-way traffic with these utility companies, it appears. They take, but they don't seem to give anything back. Give me your analysis on that.
That's exactly right. I mean, they have really been masters of the universe for too long. Not only the retailers, but the big oil and gas companies, they put millions in lobbying and so on, and they get all sorts of subsidies from the government. And when times are good for them, they pay out to their shareholders. They invest in fossil fuels, which are more expensive and more precarious than the renewable energy that we need and the energy efficiency that we need. Our homes need to be insulated. If they hadn't cut the insulation programs that they did, we'd be in such a better position now. So what we're calling for now is a completely different kind of pricing system. We want what we're calling energy for all, which would mean that everybody gets a free amount, an amount of energy free that is enough for the basics, enough to keep warm, enough for cooking and keeping the lights on. And after that, prices would be higher, but at least people wouldn't be dying.
Decent. It seems to be a very decent thing that you're asking there. It seems a morally right thing to do.
Yeah. I'm intrigued with your comments about insulation. I actually made a similar point. I really do believe we need better insulation. It would go a long way. Michael Portillo accused me of being a member of Insulate Britain. And do you worry that, Insulate Britain, for all their good intentions, have actually damaged that argument, that it's just associated with sort of eco-warriors?
People really think that something drastic has to be done. And a lot of people think, well, the government's not doing anything drastic, and we're going to, because it's not only the energy bills, it's also the climate. And, I'm sorry, but Rishi Sunak doesn't seem to get that. And that is worrying. It's worrying also that he really stands up for austerity policies and, balancing the books. Well, he might balance his books, but what about our books? What about the debt that people on the ground are going into?
Ruth,
so
Ruth, I want to get it clear. I just want to get it clear from you here. I mean, right, fuel poverty, that is your thing. You're there at the coal face, so to speak. And on the subject of coal, I just want to ask you, do you think we should put the green policies, the green taxes on the back burner? Is it time for that, or where do you stand on that?
If we had been switching to renewables, we wouldn't be in this position now with gas. Renewables, once you've made the initial investment in wind or solar, they're relatively free. They're very low cost, and we would be in a much better position with even what the government had promised but not delivered.
Would we though, Ruth?
New heating systems. Sorry?
I mean, would we? Because, we've seen and heard widely reported the problems with the lack of wind, and if there's too much wind, that it goes into meltdown. And also, of course, we live in a country where it gets dark at 3 p.m. for half the year. How much use are solar panels and wind turbines in energy security when you compare it with the more reliable sources?
There's a lot of nonsense being put out by people who are heavily invested in gas and oil and really don't want to see the change. There is a huge amount that other countries are doing, and some of them are in a much better position as a result. And this country has lagged behind also on energy efficiency, on the insulation that we need. Some people have a product to sell and they want the money to go to that. And at the moment, that's what we're seeing. Government money, more government money being poured into something which is broken to begin with. We actually need the changes, and we need them for the climate too, because don't forget that a lot of the extreme weather that we get, you know, the storms that have knocked out power for huge parts of the country now again, you know, the flooding that we get, you know, that's climate change.
I understand. And Ruth London, it may well be your time. It may well be your time. Ruth is from the Fuel Poverty Action Group, and they are challenging energy companies, which they believe are rip-off energy companies. They're challenging them and their unfair policies that leave people to endure freezing homes, cold homes at this time of the year. So their action is for affordable energy under the control of people and communities, not private companies. What do you think? Tweet us at GB News. Ruth London, pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
OK, the time is 23 minutes past 8. Let's bring you up to date on the rest of the day's news. And the Foreign Secretary is condemning reports that Russia is planning to fabricate an attack by Ukraine, giving President Putin an excuse to invade. Liz Truss says it's clear and shocking evidence of Russia's unprovoked aggression.
Hundreds of job centres and youth hubs have opened up across Britain in a bid to help employment. The government says the 300 new and extended venues will help get 500,000 people into work by the end of June.
The first patients have undergone pioneering robotic surgery to treat throat cancer. The success of the scheme at Queen Elizabeth University Hospital in Glasgow means that some patients will be able to avoid radiotherapy altogether.
And 8 new stamps have been released by the Royal Mail to mark the Queen's Platinum Jubilee on Sunday. The set features photographs throughout the decades illustrating her dedication to service.
OK, we're going to take a break. After that, we'll be back on your doorstep with Ellie Costello. But first, here's your forecast.
Good morning. It's colder out there today, cold enough for some snow and ice in places as well. A cold front has moved across the country through the night, bringing a spell of heavy rain and gusty winds, and it is sweeping away the mild air that's been in place for the past few days, introducing much colder air with a cold feel to it because of the wind, particularly across Scotland. It's not completely cleared away yet. The rain is still across the southeast and East Anglia. A bit of snow in places as well before that scoots away by lunchtime. Sunnier skies follow, but so do the showers. Icy this morning across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland, where we've got plenty of showers that keep going through the day. Snow on the hills, but even to low levels. Sleet and snow likely at times across Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, Northwest England, maybe North Wales. A few wintry showers possible further south. Temperatures struggling, single figures below average. Add on that wind, it feels much closer to freezing. The showers will keep going across the northwest of England, Western Scotland through the evening. So again, it could turn icy as temperatures tumble, but then temperatures starting to rise in the north through the night as more cloud and rain moves in. That could bring some snow to parts of Scotland again on Saturday morning. It will be a cold night again with a touch of frost even in towns and cities, certainly in rural areas across the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast to start the weekend. But we should start here with some sunny spells. Generally quite a grey day though on Saturday, a damp day for Scotland. As I said, some snow for a time. Damp and drizzly too for Northern Ireland, Northwest England and much of Wales by the afternoon. Not much rain getting to the south or the east of England. It will be milder, temperatures back up to double figures in places, but it's still going to be windy. And the colder air will return to northern Scotland and spread more widely across the north on Sunday. So Sunday sees some damp weather across the south, wintry showers across the north. And again, for all of us, it's going to be pretty blustery.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
Basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamonn.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
And with the time at 29 minutes past 8 on this Friday morning, it's time for On Your Doorstep.
We need a little bell on that sting, don't we? Ding dong.
I tell you, that's like watching a movie in Cinevision. That's so classy. It's just like, like 21st Century Fox.
Oh, yeah. Here's Ellie.
Play that again, just so we know it is in those level. It's in that level. Here it is, On Your Doorstep.
I think we need to add in a doorbell.
Class.
Right, let's bring some true class now. Ellie Costello's in Southend-on-Sea for us this morning. Look, there was a by-election yesterday. This, of course, incredibly serious by-election. No, the major party's not contesting it because of the tragic circumstances of it, Ellie.
Good morning, Eamonn and Isabel. Yes, I'm now in the Belfars part of Leigh-on-Sea, which is a part of Southend-on-Sea. And Belfars is a very important place to be this morning because about 200 metres down there, just on the left, near that blue van down the road there, that is Belfars Methodist Church, and that is where Sir David Amess was killed in October. And it felt like the nation's media descended on this row of shops here. Everybody was talking about what happened to poor Sir David Amess. So I wanted to come here and get the reaction to that by-election. Yesterday, as you said, Isabel, all of the main parties dropped out of the running. Labour, Lib Dems and the Greens, they wanted this seat to be held by the Conservatives. That's exactly what happened. Anna Firth is now the new Conservative MP for Southend West. So we're here to talk to people about that by-election and about issues that matter to them. So let me take you into this business. This is Dental Health and Aesthetics Belfars Clinic. Let's head inside now. Hopefully they haven't got any patients and they're free to chat to us. And they are so close to what happened here. They're one of the first businesses to know that something went wrong. Good morning. You are live on TV and on radio. Do you want to introduce yourself to everyone watching and listening at home?
I'm Luke, Clinical Director of Dental Health and Aesthetics. I assume you want to come in?
Yes, please. It's getting really cold out there and it feels like it's going to rain, so we'd love to go in. Lovely clinic here, Luke. Really nice. Very Essex. I like it. Very glam. Can I take a seat on the dental chair? Take a seat. Usually I find it quite scary in the dentist, but it's going to be okay today, isn't it?
Bit cosy, bit cosy.
So tell me about the concept of the business first, because this is dental health and aesthetics. I haven't heard of something like this before.
No, so we were initially a drop-in hygiene clinic, so you were able to come in and see us directly for hygiene without having to have a check-up with the dentist first. So it improved direct access for patients to get, access to treatment. And then since then, the treatment menu's just grown. The concept of a hygiene non-therapist being in charge of something like this is quite unusual, traditionally owned by dentists. So I think we're the only one in the southeast that's run by someone like myself. I think there's a handful of them in the UK. So that's a sort of unique selling point that we have at the moment. Yeah.
Unique and a very rare business. So show us what you do, because it is fascinating, isn't it? And it's very popular in Essex, and you'll see why.
It is, yeah. So we have some composite bonding example here. This is probably our most popular treatment at the moment. Non-invasive.
Not surprised.
Yeah, non-invasive treatment, so no damage to the teeth, and as long as it's looked after, it will last you a while. We do a lot of facial aesthetics as well, which is obviously very popular in Essex as well. All done modestly, but yeah, that and obviously dental health is really important. So we are still drumming in the importance of seeing a dentist regularly. Oral cancer is very high prevalence as well. So alongside everything else, it's quite a nice treatment menu we offer.
Yeah. So it's a booming business here, but the reason that we're here today is obviously talking about the by-election that happened yesterday. Did you vote yesterday?
I didn't vote yesterday, no.
Right, so not many people did, to be honest with you. 24% turnout it was. Why don't you think people came out to vote yesterday?
I think because we understood the situation, and that there wasn't really a vote in place. So and for myself, busy lives as well. I think that's part of it. But yeah, I think knowing that it was already in place, that's probably why people didn't go out to vote.
And what do you think of your new Conservative MP, Anna Firth? She's from Lee. I think 3 generations are from Lee-on-Sea.
Yeah.
What do you make of her and the legacy that she's going to hopefully continue on?
The importance of her being part of Southend is obviously crucial in comparison to Sir David. Obviously, he was a big Southend person.
And you met him, didn't you?
Yeah, he was here for the opening, really briefly, and made a mark because I obviously remembered him, and it was just the friendly nature of how he was and the interest that he showed in the business. He was always floating around the Broadway, and I think Anna has a bit of a legacy to follow, but I think as she knows the area, has been part of it with her family, then hopefully she can continue that, yeah.
I hope so too. It's going to be a bright future for Southend, becoming a city in February. Right, Luke, we better let you go because you've got a patient coming in at 8:30. Thank you so much for having us. Eamonn and Isabel, stay with me because we're going to be heading just a few roads away now to meet a mum and a toy maker. It's going to be really good fun. I'm falling over.
Okay, go carefully.
Very good.
Okay, Ellie, thank you. We'll be back with you for that toy maker, and yeah, thank you for that. That was really
That was a nice visit to the dentist.
Wasn't it
It's
just?
not often
I love
you
seeing
can,
the Essex smile in all its
you can
glory.
say that. And let's get back to this big story we're covering about Northern Ireland, the resignation of the First Minister there and what it means for the power-sharing executive. For more on this, we're going to speak to Jim Wells. Jim Wells is a member of the DUP, and he is an Assembly member. Jim, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning, Eamonn. Good to see you again.
Now, Jim, tell me this. This protocol, you would say it was a poison protocol. Does it fix anything by bringing down the power-sharing executive as a result of boycotting the protocol?
Well, Sir Geoffrey's been very patient, and he's worked hard to try and get changes to the protocol. But his patience has run out, and so has the majority of unionists in Northern Ireland. The reality is that the protocol represents the greatest danger to the constitutional position of Northern Ireland since 1921. And no government can operate business as usual while there's this major economic and political threat to our future.
So talking about threats, Jim, I suppose, are you blackmailing the UK government, threatening political instability if they don't put this right? I mean, how are you twisting their arm to make them pay attention? Boris Johnson is notorious for not paying us, Northern Ireland, the attention that we feel we are due. So how are you twisting his arm over this?
Well, we simply couldn't allow the situation to drift, Eamonn. We've tried and tried through negotiation with Liz Truss and David Frost and all the previous representatives on this issue. And still, we haven't made any progress. The protocol is costing the taxpayers of Northern Ireland £850 million a year in extra costs. And it also means that we're effectively still in the single market, subject to the European Court of Justice. And we have rules implemented upon us in Northern Ireland, which we have no say in. That simply couldn't continue. Now, we need to make the government sit up and take notice that the unionist community who did not consent to this are fed up, and we want it changed, and we want a radical overhaul of the protocol.
Jim, is the government sitting up and taking notice of this? Because from what I can see, the checks are still continuing in the ports. It now just seems as though the executive aren't able to make any significant decisions at home, but nothing's really changed in terms of the protocol.
Well, the checks will stop at the ports. There's a few administrative issues to be sorted out, but eventually the Minister, Edward Poots, has given the order that the checks have to stop. That's the first point. Secondly, would a nationalist First Minister remain in power if there were border checks between Northern Ireland and the Irish Republic? Of course they wouldn't. They would be out immediately. We simply have to take resolute action to show the government that we mean business here. This simply cannot continue. We cannot be treated as a semi-detached part of the United Kingdom. And it's time that those in power, including Liz Truss, realise that enough's enough. We have given them lots of time and nothing has happened. And now we need to make a move. And therefore we're showing that we mean business. And it cannot be storm it as normal while this is hanging over our heads.
What is it like, Jim? There's a lot of support from the general UK audience that you guys in the DUP have stood up to Brussels. And a lot of people just, like, even though initially it didn't affect them, what went on in Northern Ireland, now it does affect them because there's bound to be repercussions. What do you expect the worst case scenario to be?
Well, Eamonn, what I would say to you is the penny's beginning to drop at Westminster. More and more MPs at very senior level realise that what we're saying is absolutely right. We wouldn't tolerate this for any other part of the UK, so why Northern Ireland? So I think eventually, because of the influence that we have at Westminster and the fact that the case is unanswerable, you cannot treat one part of the United Kingdom so radically different from any other part, that eventually action will be taken. And obviously the moving of Article 16 of the protocol would be a big step forward. But we're not prepared to sit in Stormont and operate procedures which will reduce our constitutional position within the United Kingdom.
Was Northern Ireland sold short by Boris Johnson with this protocol?
In a word, yes. In October 2019, Boris did a deal in Cheshire, which the people of Northern Ireland were not consulted about. It was a major constitutional change in our position, and the Good Friday Agreement says that both communities have to sign up to that. We didn't sign up, we weren't consulted. And yes, Boris Johnson made a fundamental mistake when he and Leo Varadkar agreed the protocol in Cheshire. And that I think even he realises he's made a bad mistake, and we need to go back to the drawing board and start again. Because remember, Eamonn, this is only dealing with 6% of the trade between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. 94% of the trade that comes into Northern Ireland goes no further. And our constitutional position has been undermined for a tiny amount of trade.
Jim, very well put, Jim. And could you just in practical terms explain to the general audience watching in Scotland and Wales and England what this means to you living in Northern Ireland, other people living in Northern Ireland? What are the practicalities when you go along to Marks and Spencer's or Tesco or Sainsbury or whatever? How is it affecting people?
Well, it means that many suppliers in England just will not be bothered with all the paperwork and bureaucracy. They just won't supply Northern Ireland. Or they'll supply Northern Ireland at a much more expensive rate than the rest of the United Kingdom. And also, it means that the range of products now available in the province are much lower. And it's everything like roses, for instance, or any form of garden product. If you want to bring an animal to GB and bring that animal back, you have to pay veterinary fees. I had one horse owner who had to pay £1,000 in veterinary fees to get his horses back from the Royal Highland Show. That is just absolutely ridiculous that we, as part of the United Kingdom, effectively have a border down the middle of the Irish Sea, and we're paying extra costs for the privilege of importing goods from the rest of our own country. But more importantly, the constitutional threat means that drip, drip, we will eventually be totally changed as part of the United Kingdom, and that's just not acceptable to unionists.
Well, thanks for putting the argument. Thanks for explaining things, Jim. Good talking to you again. Appreciate it. Jim Wells is an MLA, a member of the DUP for Southdown in Northern Ireland. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
OK, with the time at 8:41, we're going to take a break. And after that, we'll be back taking you through your morning newspapers.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamonn.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Let's dip into the newspapers now. We're in the company of Liz Kershaw and Oscar Reddrop doing those. Oscar, front page of The Guardian, and again, you know, we've got a fifth resignation this morning from Boris Johnson's staff. Their take on this, your take on what they're saying?
Well, first of all, I think a lot of the headlines that are leading with it, you know, being a sinking ship and, you know, everything's falling apart, meltdown, I think that's slightly overexcited. I don't think that they're signs of a sinking ship at all. I think at the moment, these are all things that were expected. These are things that Boris Johnson, these are changes that Boris Johnson...
Munira Mirza, come on.
That is the one exception. But again, you know, as head of policy, and I know for a fact I've spoken to quite a lot of them, there are a lot of backbench Tory MPs that haven't been particularly happy with government policy. So I'm not quite sure politically. I know in the media we like to get excited, but politically amongst that parliamentary
Oscar, it's not a good look. It's not a good look at the minute.
It's not a good look, but this was always what was going to happen. And to your point, Eamonn, it's not a good look because classically, once again, we are seeing chaotic stage management of events. The events themselves, in terms of resignation, as I said, always going to happen, not the end of the world, but actually sought after by much of the party,
Oscar,
the management
who would you point the finger at for the chaotic mismanagement?
It does pain me to say it, but on that front, leadership does have to come from the top, but Boris Johnson hasn't quite got a handle on it. What I would say is Boris Johnson is the type of leader. He is the blue sky guy. He can make a nation feel positive. He's charismatic. He connects with people that an old Etonian should never be able to connect with. But what he but he's not the organisation guy.
Yeah.
That's never him. And what he needs around him so desperately now is, you know, probably some grey hairs, a bit of an iron fist to actually get the house in order so we can crack on with, you know, sorting issues out in our day-to-day lives.
It was a really telling line from Munira Mirza in her resignation. She said, "You are a better man than many of your detractors will ever understand." But she said that is why it is so desperately sad that you've let yourself down with the comments.
Quite poignant, isn't it?
Well, that's why she's been with him so long, I'd imagine.
Yeah. I mean, he is completely fighting for his political life here, but Boris, more than any other politician, as a wounded animal, is a dangerous one.
Oh.
If he's against the ropes here, his last punch has to be an absolute knockout, and he has to get these appointments spot on.
OK, Oscar. Elizabeth, you have gone to The Times, page 10 here, and levelling up.
Yeah, I'll just quickly say, Boris has qualities, and I don't think we should have such short memories. In that he's a great orator and motivator and upbeat. And can you imagine the last 2 years of lockdown, on and off, misery, people suffering with Theresa May or Keir Starmer in charge? You know, please. He's entertained us.
Yeah, you see, I thought Oscar made a very good point there. He connects with people, and I'm including you in this, that an old Etonian should not be able to connect with.
Well, let's get on to levelling up then.
Right.
Because it's education, education, education was the New Labour slogan, and it was my dad's slogan. And, you know, my grandma, great-grandma, came over from Ireland because they were basically starving, and she had no shoes on when she pitched up in Anglesey at the docks. And then my grandma took an exam at the age of 12 and got a scholarship, but then they couldn't afford for her to go to carry on at school, so she went in the mill. But then she damn well made sure that her daughter, my mother, took the 11 plus and got a scholarship for grammar school. And my dad, in his family, they did the same. They worked in the mill, but he was going to go to grammar school. And then they were the first generation ever to go to university. And then he said to me and my brother, my dad, you can, you go and you get your degree and you can do what you like. He didn't mean it. He was terminally embarrassed when we were on Radio 1. but that going to university, I went to university. I'd never had anything but tinned salmon before. I'd never had lasagna. I'd never had black pepper on my food. I'm just saying, and I mixed with people and mingle with people. It gave me a view of the world that I didn't have to spend the rest of my life in Rochdale. No offence. Now, that's the trouble. Places like Rochdale, anybody who did that left and didn't go back. And it saddens me so much to see a place like Rochdale, which is post-industrial, all the mills have gone. It was pretty grim at times working in the mill, but when I was a kid, it was full employment, the town centre was bustling, people getting on and off buses, all the pubs were full, people started going on the holidays abroad and getting cars.
What will keep people in Rochdale?
We want education back. We want really good quality, competitive education. Grammar school. You don't let a guy play for Manchester United if he's mediocre. You don't put him on the same team. So we need grammar schools. We need free universities again, so that that people can go. Kids then don't have debt for the rest of their lives. And I still say you level up by getting people up the ladder with an educator. Plus, you have a good time seeing bands and getting drunk.
Couldn't disagree with any of that.
Good to hear, Liz.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed. Oscar, Liz, thank you both very much for your looks at the papers today. Come back soon.
Yeah, look, sticking with the levelling up theme, our East Midlands reporter, Will Hollis, he's been out on the streets there to find out what their concerns have been about the cost of living and exactly how things could be turned around for them.
Every day, Sandra delivers emergency food parcels across Sutton in Ashfield, where rising costs are driving more people into poverty.
We're seeing when people come to the door with multi-layers of clothing, they can be wearing thick coats, I've seen one wearing gloves, and they're quite anxious about how the situation is going to escalate when the fuel prices go up.
On streets like this, cold homes aren't uncommon. Some choose between heating and eating.
Are you able to put your heating on at the minute?
Lisa is on disability benefits. The mum of two has fibromyalgia, a painful condition that means she can't work. She's seen her energy bill spike, affecting everyday decisions.
My young lad, he always says, Mum, can my friend come round to play on the Xbox? And I tend to have to check the electric and say, oh, no, I've only got £5 left. That's got to last us till tomorrow, so your friend can't come round. Or in regards to the heating, if it's absolutely freezing and we've only got a few quid left on the gas, it's a case of just pulling the froze over you and chilling out with the froze, or dressing gown. I tend to live in my dressing gown so I don't get cold.
Yesterday, the energy regulator Ofgem announced a price cap rise of 54%, nearly £2,000 for the average person. Spiralling fuel costs globally are to blame. Chancellor Rishi Sunak has announced measures to try to manage the damage, a £200 energy discount plus a tax rebate for many.
We're going to give people a £150 council tax rebate to help with the cost of energy in April, and this discount won't need to be repaid.
Critics say the support does too little too late. Here in Ashfield, 1 in 3 families are living on universal credit, and so any change in the cost of their living can be quite difficult. And so a lot of people are having to make really tricky decisions about how they spend their money. Back at the food bank, Sandra has another parcel to prepare. The local college set up the service when the pandemic began. Tutors know who it is that needs help. Sometimes they face the same problems themselves.
Electricity plays a big part. I mean, what child doesn't love to sit and watch telly and, I don't know, have all the lights on every time he goes around the house? So it's quite worrying that you've got to be watching those little things that the children do all the time. but you have to be mindful of how much it's going to be costing at the minute.
Winter may soon end, but the cost of living crisis has barely begun. Will Hollis for GB News in the East Midlands.
Now, we've been asking you all morning if you have any health questions, worries or ailments, and we always like to open our doors here in the studio for that with our tele-doctor. What do you call him?
Dr. Amika?
No,
oh,
I know that.
It's segment, telemedicine. Sorry.
No,
what do you call
that
it?
sounds like, what do you call him? He's sitting here, Dr. Amika.
No, it's because that's the new thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So no, Isabel came up with this title, telemedicine.
Well, yeah, it's the future, isn't it? They're saying if you can't see a GP, give them a call or you can FaceTime. And then it's like, we're actually doing telemedicine. Anyway, that tickles my fancy. Look, people have been sending in their questions. Actually, the first one that we got was from a lady called Rachel. It's actually about her periods, and I'm sorry if people are having their breakfast, but she said, it's been almost 2 years since I had my child. My period still hasn't returned. Is this normal? And this actually sparked a big discussion in the newsroom this morning. All of the girls, from all the producers and the girls in the gallery, leaping in to talk about it. So obviously resonated with lots of them. Lots of people saying that their periods have been affected by vaccines during the pandemic. So a couple of period questions for you.
Yeah, so I have heard, and especially I have seen people who come into A&E who've told me that their period's been affected by the vaccine. There's no specific link with any type of vaccine and periods at the moment, but like when you've given birth, obviously you know that periods are caused by hormones, and these are affected by not only birth, but after birth, breastfeeding as well, and contraception. So it is normal for people to have a change in their menstrual cycle or irregular periods postpartum. What it is normally, if you're not breastfeeding, you'll see your period within about 6 to 8 weeks after you've given birth. However, this can take longer, and when they do come back, they may be different. So they may be irregular, your cycle may change, they may be a little bit heavier and have blood clots, and this is normal within women. But if after 2 years you're not breastfeeding and you're not taking any contraception and you haven't seen your period, I would suggest to see a doctor just so they can run some tests and make sure your hormones are acting the way they should. OK,
so you'd be worried there could be some imbalance with the hormones?
There can be a number of different things that can go wrong postpartum. And as I said, it changes within women, and it depends on whether or not you have been breastfeeding or you've started any contraception.
Good advice, thank you.
Beer bellies. I'm asking for a friend.
Oh, are you sure?
And this is from Nick. Nick says, look, what can I do to stop my beer belly from growing? I've stopped drinking beer, but it hasn't gone away. Now, the thing is, this is just not a cosmetic thing. This is really dangerous because this is where all the bad fat gathers.
Yeah, central adiposity. So it's, especially here in the UK, we have a bit of an obesity problem. And like Rome wasn't built in a day, your beer belly won't go away in a day. So yes, you may stop drinking beer, but there are a number of different other things you have to do.
Do you have a beer belly?
I hope not. I do my crunches, so. But for me,
it's sarcastic. He is a specimen, isn't he? What a fitness specimen he is.
No, there's so many things that come into it. So it's not just the alcohol. We do know that alcohol, especially beer, has a lot of calories. But you also think of what you're eating in terms of your nutrition. Yes. Are you getting your 5 a day? How much are you eating? Your calorific deficit, and are you exercising?
Something that struck me. I remember reading one time that I'm a great drinker of fizzy drinks. Apparently, fizzy drinks go straight to your belly.
Well, there's a lot of sugar in fizzy drinks. Yeah. There's a lot of refined sugar in fizzy drinks, so it wouldn't surprise me. But then, like a lot of people know, different people gain weight in different places. So I know some people it goes straight to their face. And they get them big cheeks, and some people straight to the belly.
Mine's all to the behind.
Yeah.
And it's all made of cheese, my husband says, because I love my cheese. Listen, 5 a day, do you get your 5 a day? And how important is that? I mean, I get home from work sometimes and I feel guilty that I have, just eaten toast or carbs, and I'll just eat a carrot to make myself feel better.
Oh, no, it's really important to get your 5 a day. I make sure I get mine, so I start with 5 a day. So in the mornings, I genuinely have a piece of fruit or add fruit to my breakfast cereal, and then make sure, like, if I feel like snacking during the day between meals, I'm generally having some fruit or some vegetables, and I incorporate it in my meals as well. So
practice what you preach.
I do practice what I preach. I'm about that.
A lot of women are embarrassed, well, obviously embarrassed, a lot of men are embarrassed as well by hair loss. And here's Jess, and she's saying her mum and her nan both began to lose their hair in their 30s. She's getting to that age, and she's very worried about it. So is this hereditary?
Well, unfortunately for Jess, yes, alopecia can be hereditary. We call that androgenic alopecia, basically, when an imbalance of hormones can cause you to lose your hair at a certain age. However, it's a bit of an oxymoron because although Jess is worried, worry also can lead to a bit of alopecia too. So the only thing I can really advise her is to, one, stay away from putting too many chemicals in the hair, because this is obviously going to speed up the process of hair loss. and try and avoid hair pulling type styles, you know, like tight ponytails as well.
So what
What do
you mean? So if you put hairspray to volumise or something, that could lead
It depends
to
what
hair
type of hairspray you're putting in and how often you put it in. And also heat treating for the hair as well has been known to cause alopecia too. So if she can avoid that, she can potentially limit or reduce the chance of her suffering from alopecia. However, with alopecia, a lot of the time the hair can grow back, and there are a number of different treatments we can give.
Yeah, and I should state, this happened to a friend of mine. She had really amazing sort of weaves put in, which a lot of people use when they've been through chemotherapy. So there are ways of hiding it if it is.
Yeah, there are. 100%, especially when I've seen a number of chemo patients. I actually worked on a chemo ward, and I actually got educated on a number of different things they do post-chemo for their hair loss. So yeah.
Fantastic to have those options available.
Light at the end of the tunnel.
We've got to leave it there. I'm so sorry.
Thanks, Doc. Thank you. Good seeing you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Do you know, when I look at him, I often think he reminds me of me in so many ways. Fruit in the morning, first thing. Never out of the gym.
Practices what he preaches.
Yeah, look at him.
Of course, literally, I have a health book called Your Health in Your Hands, which kind of says all the kind of stuff to do for like a healthy lifestyle. So, and I did recipes and nutrition in the book. So if I didn't practice it,
well, bring us your book, man. We need this book, and we need to. We need it now.
I need to look healthy if I want my patients to be healthy.
Yeah, this is true. Okay.
That's a very good point. Look, we're going to take the break there. We're going to be back top of the hour. It's 2 minutes to 9.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows. Every day, we ask the questions that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
Basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamonn
and Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Boris Johnson faced with not one, not two, not three, but 4 resignations last night from his inner circle.
Good morning, this is Breakfast with Eamonn and Isabel. It is 9 o'clock on Friday the 4th of February. Here's the news you're waking up to.
A chief of staff, a principal private secretary, a director of communications and a policy chief have all decided to jump ship. But some allies of the Prime Minister say this is part of a promised change to the Number 10 operation.
Another resignation, this time in Northern Ireland, as the First Minister, Paul Givan, has stood down, effectively plunging the devolved government at Stormont into turmoil. We'll find out what this means for Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK.
And we're on your doorstep this morning with Ellie Costello. Ellie's in Southend West, where a by-election took place after the death last October of the Conservative MP, Sir David Amess.
We've been asking all day for your tweets on the cost of living and money-saving tips. Now, Annie, first of all, on this, and she says, Annie says, turn your heating down by even 1 degree, wear warmer clothes indoors. And, you know, a few weeks ago, people were sort of shunning these and laughing at these. And now it all seems to make sense. Take shorter showers, Annie says as well. Turn the heating off in rooms you don't use. Close the doors, you know. And
sounds like a fun sponge.
Yeah.
No, it's probably good advice. I'm sure it is. Naval Eye says, once the weather warms up in April, heating bills will plunge anyway. It's a fair point. I run the washing machine only when it's full. Same with the dishwasher. Discipline is how you control costs. Good for you. Unfortunately, my dishwasher and washing machine are permanently full. It's just the situation in a busy family home. Michelle,
I have this thing that I don't like dirty dishes sitting in the dishwasher.
Oh, so you have to put it on as soon as it's got two things in. Well, just wash them up then, man.
Well, you see, this, no, I don't agree with that either, because Ruth washes dirty dishes, makes them clean and then puts them in the dishwasher.
No, she's just giving them a quick pre-rinse to get the grime
off.
off.
Believe me, she's washing them. It's a complete
she's very clean
waste.
and that's admirable.
I believe put them in dirty.
And then put the dishwasher on straight away. Well, you're a disaster, aren't you, for the cost of living and the planet? But anyway, Michelle, she says, 15 years ago, I fined my son 50 pence from his pocket money each time he left the lights on in unused rooms. Teach them it's not free from a young age. Really good advice, although, again, sounds a bit miserable, but maybe that's 2022 Britain.
It may well be.
Are we good? Should we move on? Let's move on to the Northern Ireland. We're talking about it for the last 2 days. Significant developments there over the Northern Ireland Protocol. The resignation of Northern Ireland's First Minister, Paul Givan, has caused the executive there to fold.
OK, let's get more reactions now from our own GB News presenter and former leader of the Democratic Unionist Party, Arlene Foster, who's here. Arlene, I suppose we've got to ask you, what does the DUP hope this will achieve?
Well, I think they hope it will focus minds on choosing between the Belfast Agreement and the Protocol, because both of those things are international agreements. They can't both exist together. And what they're essentially saying is that the Protocol has to change. They were hoping that the UK government would take action in relation to that, either unilaterally through Article 16. We hear these phrases thrown about, Eamonn, but Article 16 of the Protocol allows you to call time on the operation of the Protocol if it's causing economic damage to Northern Ireland. So I think the DUP were hoping that the government was going to do that. And if not that, then an agreement between the EU and the UK. That hasn't worked either. So they've called time, and essentially their leader has said enough is enough. OK,
that is the problem. What would the solution be? Is there an easy solution? What is Brussels going to swallow? What will be advantageous to us in Northern Ireland? Well,
I think there's always been solutions to dealing with goods coming from Great Britain into Northern Ireland and then on into the single market. That's what the Protocol was there to do, to protect the single market of the European Union, so the goods that were unregulated couldn't go into their market. And the way to do that is to check goods that are going on down into the Republic of Ireland. So don't check the goods that are staying in Northern Ireland.
Yes. Just take that as read. That's within the UK.
Just check the goods that are going
to
the Republic of Ireland.
And where would you check those? At the ports or at, this is the big sensitive question, at the border between North and South?
Well, actually, it doesn't really matter because you can do it through technology. You can do it through risk assessment.
Is that proven, that technology?
Where do you do that? If you do it through technology, that still needs to be done somewhere.
So the Smart Borders regime that was actually brought forward by the European Union themselves was one way of dealing with this. So you don't actually have a border check at Newry or in Fermanagh or whatever. What you have is a virtual border where people put in their details and then that's checked through and they can move on through digital technology. And actually that was one of the solutions that was put forward by going back into people's memories. There was an alternative arrangements commission.
Yes, I remember this.
That was put forward at the time, but that was dismissed by not only our government but by the EU as well.
But there is something about the negotiations, and tell me if I'm right in this. I always see there's just like a what's the word I'm trying to look for? There is a nastiness about the EU on this. It's like it's their way or no way on this, and it's like deliberately obtrusive. Is that because, you know, you're sitting there and that seems quite exciting. You're talking about digital technology and we could do this, and if we all pull together, we could get something sorted out, which is good for you, EU, it's good for us, Northern Ireland, it's good for you, UK, it's good for the Republic of Ireland, and it always seems to be no.
No, and that's always been the problem, because the EU, of course, was very sore about the United Kingdom deciding to leave. And there were always these suggestions that Northern Ireland was the price that the UK was going to pay for leaving the EU, because they wanted to send a message to other countries in the EU.
Don't you think of this?
Don't you think about this, because this is what's going to happen to you. And we have always thought that they were using Northern Ireland, if you like, to punish the United Kingdom for actually leaving.
Although they would probably claim it's much more about, as you say, protecting the single market, which is one of the cornerstones of the European Union, and it's problematic for them, you know.
But Isabel, no, if this was in Yorkshire, if this was in Plymouth, if this was in Norwich, this would not be accepted. You know, there are benefits, and you know, Arlene Foster, there are those in Northern Ireland who say, look, there are a lot of benefits being attached to the EU being in that trading bloc and whatever it is. All of it may be too complicated to go into. It is what it is, but what I'm saying to Isabel and anyone else is they wouldn't have settled for this in other parts of the UK.
No, and I think you're right to say that there were benefits. I mean, some businesses do most of their trading into the European Union, and for them it was something that, but for us, most of our goods come from Great Britain.
Yeah.
By far.
Like what, 60, 70, 80?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's 4 times as much as we get from the Republic of Ireland, for example. So, therefore, this was always going to be a huge problem if there were going to be checks and added costs put onto the goods that are coming across from Great Britain. So, any benefits that there were in terms of the protocol are far outweighed by the pain that is actually
Do you know what the most painful thing is? When you sit and watch a television advert or you go online to order something and the following phrase comes up, not available in Northern Ireland. It is so annoying. Absolutely so annoying.
But my question is, has all of this triggered by Edwin Poots saying no more checks at the ports through this legal loophole, prompting this resignation from the First Minister? It didn't do what they wanted, which was to trigger Article 16 and to get the UK government to sit up. So has it actually achieved what it set out to do?
Well, I think it's focused minds.
But has it not just put Stormont in this place when the executive can't make any decisions and the people of Northern Ireland are even worse position?
Well, I think what you need to remember is that the Assembly was coming to an end at the end of March in any event, because there's an election in May, so it has actually truncated that by about a month and a half, if you like. And actually the Assembly still continues with the legislation that is already in train, so some of those bills will continue to go through towards the end of March, which is why I'm a little surprised that some of the parties, Sinn Féin, for example, are calling for an early election, because that will actually stop that legislation being finished before the election. And I would have thought that, given some of that legislation is very, very important, that they would have wanted it to go through, because obviously once the Assembly goes down, you go back to square one in the legislation.
Thanks for explaining that. Thank you, Arlene. Really appreciate this. And Arlene, I'm so relieved you're in here. The interview's gone well, because this time yesterday on the programme, and Arlene is very good living, I want to say this to her. And yesterday, Arlene, most embarrassing.
I know, I heard about it.
Did you hear it?
Oh, I did.
Arlene, I'm so sorry.
I'm glad you apologised to me in person.
But you know what? So far, so good. We've got to 9:10, and no profanity has come from her mouth so far.
I was actually thinking, when you were talking about the cost of living and not heating rooms and wearing an extra jumper, I was going back to my childhood, Eamonn.
It's true.
It is true.
It's true. Do you know what? We can't say we lived that and we did that, because people go, no, you shouldn't be accepting that now. There is a certain amount of logic to it when you simply hadn't got the money those days or the facilities, no double glazing, outside loos, no central heating. You
can romanticise it. It was miserable.
We got through it. Don't you say too much in case something slips out. Right.
Unbelievable.
Okay. Arlene Foster, thank you. Thank you very much. Have a good show this weekend.
I will indeed. Thank you.
We're going to move on now. It's time for On Your Doorstep. So we like to get out and about, don't we? On your doorstep. You do. You love it. You'd love to do this segment, I think, ring on people's doorbells.
Yeah, I could do that. Right. Let's go to our reporter on the scene there in the southeast of England. Ellie Costello. The rain started. Oh no.
Yeah. Hi, Eamonn and Isabel. Yes, the heavens have opened in Leigh-on-Sea today. We're in the Southend West constituency, and yesterday there was a by-election, and it was to fill the seat left empty by Sir David Amess, who was fatally stabbed in October of last year. He was the MP here for 24 years. It was very, very sad for people living here to lose their beloved MP. So yesterday, Anna Firth was elected in as the new Conservative MP for Southend West, and we are here talking to people about that by-election and also about the issues that matter to them. So let's go into this house here. This is number 50. I'll try and knock and hold the brolly and the mic at the same time. Nice bit of multitasking. Ooh. Take down this brolly. Hello, you are live on TV and on radio. Do you want to introduce yourself to everyone watching and listening at home?
Hi, I'm Laura, and this is Jasmine. Do you want to come in?
Jasmine, do you want to say hello?
Hello.
Hi, there you go. Jasmine and Laura, thank you very much. I'll pop my brolly there so we don't make your house all wet. And do a good stomp. Should we go through? Oh, your house is lovely, Laura. Huge.
Thank you. Yeah, I've actually lived here on and off for 37 years. Wow. This was my parents' house, which we bought from them, and now I'm raising my girls here. So
you've always lived here, you've always lived in Leigh. And what is it like as an area?
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful area. It's a really lovely community. We have wonderful schools, beautiful scenery if you get a chance to go up there, a wonderful Broadway with really unique, beautiful stores, restaurants, bars, and an old town as well, which is great for seafood.
It is absolutely beautiful, and I love the seafood here as well. Now, I'm very distracted by what we're doing here. Have we interrupted you working from home?
Yes, this is. I am working from home today. This is my my baby business, Rosa and Bo.
Wow.
We make sensory development toys for babies and toddlers. But I've got Jazzy helping me out here today.
So you're going to show us one of your toys that you make, right? So tell us about how this idea came about.
So these are our nesting babies, which are the first Russian doll-inspired toys safe from birth and beyond. And that is because my eldest daughter, who is currently at school at the top of the road, was obsessed with my nan's traditional version. But unfortunately, these get quite small quite quick, and they're a decorative item. They weren't safe for babies, essentially.
Swallow them easily, couldn't they? Yeah.
Absolutely. So we developed nesting babies, which are a oversized, splinter-free version, which instead of getting too small, you get a rattle in the middle instead. And I'll play with that, Jazz.
Jasmine, do you love this toy? And you get a little bunny in the middle. It's amazing, isn't it? Look at that. I can hear the little bunny going. So it is an amazing business. How long have you been running this for?
So the brand is 5 years old.
5 years old
last October. So
well, I love your stuff. Very briefly, we are here. We're here today because of the by-election yesterday. Did you vote in the by-election to replace
no, I didn't vote in the.
And why didn't you do that?
I felt just as the main party stood down as a sign of respect. So I didn't feel that there was any reason to. I think as and when anyone wants change, that will be in the next election. That's just personally how I felt. So.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people did feel that. The turnout yesterday was low. It was only 24%. I wanted to show you, just very briefly, this local paper that I've just picked up. This is the Southend Echo. We can see Sir David Amess's daughter here, Kate. She's talking about the legacy that Sir David will leave behind in the city of Southend. What do you think his legacy will be?
Yeah, I think it is the city status that he spent. I mean, he was my MP personally for 23 years in this area, and it was such a tragic event that really did rock the community. And the fact that he wanted that Southend to be a city, and now that's happening is just lovely.
So. It is lovely, and that's going to happen in February. Well, Eamonn and Isabel, we do have to hand back to you, but Laura's just told me that we will be sending a Russian doll to your granddaughter, Eamonn. I know that she'll be a fan of the toys, and we'll make sure that she gets one.
Oh, lovely. So sweet. Jasmine's adorable as well. I really like the little bunny one. It's really sweet. Little bunny Russian doll. Lovely stuff. Thank you, Ellie.
Nice, isn't it?
Gorgeous.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Let's talk showbiz news now. Hannah Hope, the assistant showbiz editor of The Sun on Sunday, joins us now to give us an insight, first of all, into the BAFTA nominations.
Yes, it's that time of year again. The BAFTAs are back. 13th of March, hosted at London's Royal Albert Hall. And it's been a very successful year for June with 11 nominations. The Power of the Dog with 8 nominations. Your favourite Eamonn, Belfast with 6 nominations. And James Bond and West Side Story gets 5 nominations. So it's the best film. I'm hoping that No Time to Die wins. Obviously, it was a huge box office success. And Best Actress Lady Gaga is currently favourite to win.
Wow.
For House of Gucci.
So is she good? Have you seen House of Gucci?
Yeah, she's really good, actually.
I just heard about people walking out and things during the show.
That's exactly what I heard as well. Ruth wanted to go and see it, and I thought, yeah, OK, we'll go and see this. And then I heard so many bad reports about it, thought, well, we'll not bother.
I think that if you look at it as a kind of fashion cinematography and in her acting, it is really good. But maybe as a kind of romp of a film, it's a bit dull.
I love seeing her in different sort of guises, though. It's amazing, really. Yeah, she's incredible.
And another of the nominations that is quite interesting is Amelia Jones, who is 19, and she is Aled Jones's daughter, and she is up for Best Actress in Coda. So that's another exciting nomination, a huge success to be recognised at such a young age. And Best Actor, as well as Leonardo DiCaprio, Benedict Cumberbatch, Will Smith is up for Best Actor in King Richard. So I think hopefully it's going to be a star-studded affair.
He's an what's the word?
Underappreciated.
Underappreciated actor, because people think he's just funny because of Fresh Prince and everything, and does a few sort of bad boy movies, but actually good to see him being praised for some of the gritty stuff. Should we talk about Geri Halliwell?
So, the Spice Girls were all set for another reunion. They had an animated film in the works, more tour dates, but an exclusive in The Sun reveals today that Geri Halliwell has put a stop to it because she's too busy. So, obviously, Posh can't be bothered to be involved because she's so busy with her fashion empire and being brand Beckham. But the other 4 women were doing a really good job. In 2019, they did a UK tour at stadiums across the country. But, Geri Halliwell's too busy, so sadly we're not going to be getting any more of this.
She's busy doing what?
She's got a brilliant YouTube show. She's making it's really funny, actually. She always wears white.
She does. I quite sort of idolise her. I guess I'm that era, but I always think she's amazing.
And exactly, I think that people love to see sort of the Spice Girls carrying on that 90s girl band era.
Well, what they want, let's face it, is they realise they're not getting any younger. And to be able to reinvent, it's like being a kids' TV presenter. At one stage, you want to break away from it and be something else. So isn't the real story. They want to reinvent it themselves. And if they have, like Geri and like Victoria, they don't really want to run the risk of going back and being seen as 50-year-old girls in hot pants. Or
well, I think that it's just. It's remembering a really special moment in time and celebrating the music and the success they have. And then they all do go away and do their own projects. But then it's nice to see them kind of come back, as we see with lots of other big acts like the Rolling Stones, other big bands performing. But it is a bit of a shame because I think it would have been really successful.
Such a shame. First ever girl band. You can't get over how amazing that was.
And I was lucky enough to go to their 2019 gig at Wembley, and it was amazing. It was electric.
I was supposed to go to that and I got ill. Anyway, it was really annoying.
Just proves you never grow up, do you? Hannah, thank you very much indeed. 9:20 is the time. Next, we're going to be telling you why magic may be good for your mental health, and particularly the mental health of young people.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube. You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
Basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamonn.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Now, the time is 22 minutes past 9. We've got a really nice segment to ease you into the weekend. Children's mental health, their week starts next week, Mental Health Week, on Monday. So we're asking what can be done to try and help kids and teenagers through tough times. One established way of improving confidence, apparently, is through magic, would you believe?
Well, I wouldn't say apparently. I'd say every young person I know, myself included, you go through a stage of saying, I'd love a magic set for Christmas.
My son got a magic set for Christmas. Well, look, let's talk to somebody who knows a bit more about all of this than us. Renowned magician and founder of Marvin's Magic, that is Marvin Berglass. Very warm welcome to the programme. Look, just tell us exactly why this really is beneficial for youngsters and their mental health.
Well, at Marvin's Magic, we've been promoting magic and creating magic for 35 years now, and it's really just recently, especially after the pandemic, people are stuck at home, and we've seen a huge upsurge in the interest in magic. And magic's always been around, as you say, everyone wants a magic set at some stage, but it really does have some great benefits because it helps kids, it encourages their social skills, and it builds confidence, and of course it inspires their imagination and develops their communication. So those are all great things in life skills, but they're having fun at the same time. It's a great hobby.
Fantastic.
And I mean, what you've described there, to me, is so far removed, Marvin, from, say, computer games.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a total antithesis because here you're actually interacting live with your family and your friends. And it gives kids a sort of playground power to have something. And it really has helped. It's got many psychological benefits as well. I mean, you find very shy kids all of a sudden being able to perform and look adults straight in the eye when they're doing a trick because they're confident of what they're doing, and we're really pleased with that. You know, there's lots of great examples of that. I suppose
The magic of magic. I was going to interrupt you with that. I cut you short because I really want to introduce Jasper Cherry, who joins us in the studio this morning, and he's really putting into practice what we're hearing there. A young person.
Hello.
How young are you, Jasper?
I'm 16 today.
Are you?
Yes.
It's brilliant,
Happy
brilliant.
birthday.
Thank you.
And how long have you been plying your trade? I mean, we should say to people, of course, you'll be recognised from Britain's Got Talent as well.
Yeah, so I've been doing magic for coming up 7 years this year. So for my age, I feel like I've been doing it forever, but obviously for a lot of people and a lot of people in the working trades, that's not exactly, how would you put it? I guess.
Not forever.
Yes.
Well, Jasper, just give us a little trick. Would you mind showing us one of your magic tricks?
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so I'll tell you what, I'm not very good at maths. Right?
Don't believe
That's three of us.
No. Well, it's a good job I've got my calculator on my phone here.
Got you,
Can we all see that? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so Eamonn, can you give me, let's see, the time that you woke up this morning, to the exact minute?
2:31.
2:31, that is very early. So I'm going to enter that in here, so 2:31. Now we'll hit times, and we'll times that by the time that you went to bed last night.
6:45.
6:45. That is, again, quite early. Right, we'll go 6:45. Now hit times, and could you just enter in a two-digit number for me? Just think of it.
Two-digit number?
Yes, enter in a two-digit number. Brilliant. Now hit equals, and we get this number right here.
Yeah.
Now...
Oh, my word. That number's leaping out at me.
Really strange, because...
That is really strange. Can I tell people why that number's important?
I don't get it.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Right, what you're actually seeing there is not 3 million and whatever. You're seeing the 3rd of the 12th of 1959.
That was your birthday!
Which is your birthday. And not only that, perfectly matching.
Incredible.
No way!
Incredible.
Well, since you're doing magic tricks related to birthdays, I've just whipped this little bad boy magically out.
That's why she
Here
was
we
up
go.
so early. She was making that.
I baked your birthday cake,
Well,
Jasper.
thank you. Thank
Very
you
happy
so much.
birthday. 16 years
I
young
know,
today.
16 years old. Well,
Happy birthday to
there's one
you.
thing, though. There's
What?
one thing.
What?
You see, everybody
Yes.
always wants to blow out a candle.
Yes.
Now, obviously, there are no candles on.
Yes, got you.
But I'm a magician.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh.
Now, we can also pass them through hollow objects as well. And solid objects. Could you hold out your hand for me?
Oh, my goodness.
You know, Jasper, what's the pressure like? Because when you do tricks, you're obviously aware people are looking at you and saying, come on, impress me. Come on.
Exactly, that's the thing. I feel with magic, you always have to try and be one step ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
So you have to think in a very weird way that you're doing something, but you also have to present it in a way that is completely different, and obviously you don't ruin in what you're actually doing.
Were you a shy child, and has this given you a newfound confidence, or has it changed your personality, or how has it affected you?
For sure. I mean, going back to Marvin, like all great magicians, they started off with Marvin's magic sets. So I feel like that has definitely helped my confidence for sure, because I really struggled like making friends at school and just talking to people in general. So magic definitely helped me talk to people, and I felt I could almost interact with people a lot more and kind of show them.
Well done to you. Happy birthday. Marvin,
Happy
if you're still there, well done.
Yes.
Because
Eamonn,
obviously
Eamonn.
you've... Yes, my friend?
I tell you what, I didn't realise it was his birthday, so I've got a homemade birthday card. It says "Happy Birthday, Jasper" on that. I don't know if you can see, but what it is, it's a magic birthday card. It's very nice that he mentioned us. So if you fold this card and just go like this and just sort of say "Happy Birthday," obviously being a magic company, we want to be able to do this, and then this is his birthday present. How about that for you? £50 note on its way to you.
Put a tenner on his card. Very good. Very good.
Fantastic. I should
Appreciate
say
it.
my son got a Marvin's Magic kit for Christmas. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Marvin.
Thank you very much.
Children's
Take
Mental
care,
Health Week starts on Monday. So there we go. Thank you, Jasper Cherry and Marvin Berglas, as both as well.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. We've
Thank
gotta
you
go.
for watching, folks. Appreciate it. Have yourselves a good weekend. We'll be back Monday morning, 6 o'clock, 9:30 to do it all again. Bye-bye.
Here's your weather.
Good morning. It's colder out there today, cold enough for some snow and ice in places as well. A cold front has moved across the country through the night, bringing a spell of heavy rain and gusty winds, and it is sweeping away the mild air that's been in place for the past few days, introducing much colder air with a cold feel to it because of the wind, particularly across Scotland. It's not completely cleared away yet. The rain is still across the southeast and East Anglia. A bit of snow in places as well before that scoots away by lunchtime. Sunnier skies follow, but so do the showers. Icy this morning across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland, where we've got plenty of showers that keep going through the day. Snow on the hills, but even to low levels. Sleet and snow likely at times across Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, northwest England, maybe North Wales. A few wintry showers possible further south. Temperatures struggling, single figures below average. Add on that wind, it feels much closer to freezing. The showers will keep going across the northwest of England, western Scotland through the evening. So again, it could turn icy as temperatures tumble, but then temperatures starting to rise in the north through the night as more cloud and rain moves in. That could bring some snow to parts of Scotland again on Saturday morning. It will be a cold night again with a touch of frost even in towns and cities, certainly in rural areas across the Midlands, East Anglia and the South East to start the weekend. But we should start here with some sunny spells. Generally quite a grey day though on Saturday, a damp day for Scotland. As I said, some snow for a time. Damp and drizzly too for Northern Ireland, northwest England and much of Wales by the afternoon. Not much rain getting to the south or the east of England. It will be milder, temperatures back up to double figures in places, but it's still going to be windy. And the colder air will return to northern Scotland and spread more widely across the north on Sunday. So Sunday sees some damp weather across the south, wintry showers across the north, and again, for all of us, it's going to be pretty blustery.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate.
From all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
Make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel.
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
That you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
Basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamonn Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamonn.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.